Hey guys, tonight we are going to rewind the clock, way back. Forget email, forget text messages, forget even a horse and buggy. Tonight, you're going to become a vital cog in one of the most incredible communication networks ever devised. You're going to be a Cholsky, a royal messenger for the Inca Empire. Imagine air so thin it burns your lungs, paths so steep they look like they're climbing to the moon. And the only thing connecting a 2,500-mile-long empire is, well, you. And your legs. And frankly, your odds of making it through your first week are, let's just say, historically questionable. But hey, no pressure. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while you're at it, drop me a comment and let me know what city you're listening from, and what time it is for you. It's always cool to see where these stories are landing. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The world for you is small. It's carved into the side of a mountain, a collection of stone and thatch huts clinging to steep, terraced fields. Your days are measured by the sun's journey across the sky, and your life is governed by the rhythm of planting and harvesting potatoes and quinoa. The mountains, the pews, are everything. They are the gods that watch over you, the providers of the water that trickles down to your crops, and the silent, colossal walls of your world. You know every stone, every twist in the path to the high pastures where the llamas graze. This is home. It's safe, predictable, and unchanging. But tonight, something is different. An old man, a traveler from a village many valleys away, is staying in your community. His face is a roadmap of wrinkles, each one telling a story you can't yet read. As the cold night air of the Andes settles in, everyone gathers around the central fire. The flames dance, casting flickering shadows that make the familiar faces around you seem strange and mystical. The old man, chewing on a wad of coca leaves, begins to speak. His voice is a low rumble like distant thunder. He doesn't talk about harvests or llamas. He talks about the empire, Tawantinsuyu, the land of the four quarters, ruled by the living god, the Sepe Inca, in the golden city of Cusco, the navel of the world. For you, Cusco is a myth, a place as distant and real as the moon. But the old man speaks of it as if he just left yesterday. And he speaks of the threads that hold this impossibly vast empire together. Not threads of wool, but threads of information, carried by men who are more myth than human. He calls them the Chosquis, the messengers. He says they are the emperor's breath, the lifeblood of the realm. They run on the great Inca roads, paths of stone that stretch from the sweltering coast to the frozen peaks, connecting everything. A message, he says, can travel from Quito in the north to Cusco in the south, a distance of over 1,000 miles in less than a week. Faster than any man could walk. Faster, he whispers, than even the strange, four-legged beasts the invaders from across the sea would one day ride. This is a bold claim, one that makes the other villagers murmur in disbelief. He describes these runners. They are not big, muscular men. They are lean, weary, with lungs forged in the thin mountain air. They run in relays, a human chain stretching across the spine of the world. Each man runs a short, explosive distance, maybe 10 or 15 miles, to a small stone hut, a tambo where another runner is always waiting, day or night, rain or shine. The exchange is a blur of motion. A knotted string is passed. A few breathless words of a memorized message are gasped out, and the next runner is gone, a fleeting shadow on the path. You listen, completely captivated. The crackling fire is forgotten. The cold on your back is ignored. The old man explains that these aren't just any men. Some say they are chosen as boys, their families pledged to the Sepa Inca for generations. It's a lineage of loyalty, a sacred trust. A Chosquis failure isn't just his own, it brings shame upon his entire kin. This is a chilling thought, a burden as heavy as the mountains themselves. The specifics of how they are chosen, he admits, are a mystery. Historians today are still trying to piece it together. Some scholars argue that there must have been dedicated training centers, almost like military academies for runners, where they learned endurance, memory techniques, and the secret language of the knotted strings. Others believe this system was more organic, A master Chusky simply identifying the most promising youth in a local village and taking him under his wing. The truth is likely buried somewhere in between, lost to time. The old man leans forward, his eyes gleaming in the firelight. He tells you the most unbelievable part. He says a Chusky can deliver a message so fresh that the Sapa Inca in Cusco can dine on fish caught in the Pacific Ocean less than 2 days before. Fish carried over 200 miles up thousands of feet into the heart of the Andes by a chain of running men. The image is so powerful, so absurd, it lodges itself in your mind. The idea of a man outrunning the spoilage of a fish, of a human network defying distance and time. As the other villagers begin to shuffle off to their beds, their minds full of potatoes and tomorrow's chores, you remain by the dying embers. The traveler's words echo in your head. The small, safe world of your village suddenly feels like a cage. For the first time you look up at the dark, imposing peaks not as walls, but as pathways. A quiet, dangerous idea has been planted. What if you could be one of them? What if you could be the wind? The traveler is gone by morning, vanished as mysteriously as he arrived. But his words linger in the air, a potent hum that has subtly retuned your world. The potatoes you help your father dig from the terraced earth feel mundane. The familiar path to the stream seems shortened, unadventurous. You find yourself staring at the distant passes, the gaps in the mountain wall, imagining a figure running, silhouetted against the sky. Your daydreams are filled with the phantom weight of a knotted string in your hand and the ghost of a sea conch horn at your lips. It's a foolish, childish fantasy, and you know it. Chasquis are chosen by the will of the Sapa Inca himself. They don't just pick boys daydreaming in potato fields. Weeks turn into a month. The fantasy begins to fade, buried under the daily toil of survival. Then, one afternoon, it happens. Two figures appear on the trail leading to your village. This is unusual. Strangers are rare, but these are not weary travelers. One is an official from Cusco. You can tell immediately. His tunic is a finely woven wool, dyed in brilliant patterns that seem to shame the muted earth tones of your village. He carries a staff of dark, polished wood. His face is stern, impassive, as if carved from the same mountain stone as the temples in the capital. Beside him walks a man you recognize with a jolte reel, living Chusky. He is lean, sinewy, his skin weathered like old leather. He carries nothing but a small bag slung over his shoulder and the unmistakable air of coiled energy. A hush falls over the village. Work stops. Everyone gathers, their expressions a mixture of awe and apprehension. The official from Cusco doesn't waste time with pleasantries. He announces, in a voice that carries across the small plaza, that the empire requires new blood for the king's road. He is here to find a boy strong of wind, fleet of foot, and sharp of mind to begin the training. This is it. The myth is standing in your plaza, offering a chance. A terrifying, exhilarating wave of adrenaline washes over you. You look around at the other boys your age. They share the same look of wide-eyed shock. The official's gaze sweeps over you all, and it feels like being weighed and measured by a god. HES not looking for the biggest or the strongest. You realize HES looking for a specific build. The weary, high-altitude frame, with a deep chest and lean legs, the body of a long-distance runner, not a warrior. The interview begins, and it's nothing like you could have imagined. There are no questions. There are only tests. First, the run. The official points to a distinctive rock formation high up on the mountain trail, a place that takes a strong man half the morning to reach. There and back, he says, his voice flat. Go. It's a chaotic explosion of energy, as a dozen boys bolt from the village. You don't sprint. You remember the old traveler's words, endurance, not speed. You fall into the familiar, loping gait you used to chase down stray llamas, a rhythm your body has known its whole life. The air thins quickly. Your lungs start to burn. Your legs ache. Boys who shot out ahead are already slowing, gasping in the oxygen-starved air. You pass them one by one. You fix your eyes on the rock, making it your entire world. The run back down is a controlled fall, a treacherous dance with loose scree and sharp turns. You're not the first to return to the plaza, but you're in the top handful. Your chest heaving, but your legs still under you. The official shows no reaction. He simply waits for the stragglers. Then comes the second test. He gathers the 5 of you who finished strongest. He holds up a single, intricate knot on a piece of string. Look, he commands. You burn the image into your mind, the color of the string, the number of loops, the direction of the twist. Then he sends you on another, shorter run to a stream and back. When you return panting, he holds out 3 different knots. Which one? He asks. Your mind is foggy with exertion, but the image is there. You point. Correct. A test of memory under duress. Then comes a test so strange it feels like a prank. He has you all take off your simple sandals. The Charles Key, who has been silent until now, crouches and examines your bare feet. It's a bizarre, almost intimate inspection. You later learn what he was looking for, a piece of niche criteria that was just as important as lung capacity. He was checking the soles of your feet for their texture and toughness. A boy with soft feet, unaccustomed to the punishing stone paths, would be useless. He was looking for the calloused, leathery pads that only come from a lifetime of moving over the rugged Andean terrain. Your feet, thankfully, pass the inspection. The final test is one of character. The official dismisses you, telling you to wait. He leaves his polished staff leaning against a wall, a glimmer of silver ornamentation near the top catching the sun. It's an object of immense value, more than your family might see in a lifetime. He and the Charles Key walk away, seemingly deep in conversation. It's a trap, and you know it. A test of honesty. One of the other boys eyes the staff, but a sharp glance from an elder warns him all. You don't even look at. You stare straight ahead, your heart pounding a rhythm that has nothing to do with running. Historians today still debate the precise checklist for selecting a Charles Key. Was it a standardized, empire-wide process, or did it vary by region? Was there a specific age, like 15 to 20, that was considered optimal? Some texts suggest that lineage and family loyalty to the local governor, or Corica, played a huge role, making it less of a meritocracy and more of a political appointment. The exact weighting of speed memory and loyalty is a formula lost to us. The official and the Charles Key return. The sun is low, casting long shadows. He walks directly to you. He doesn't smile. He doesn't congratulate you. He simply points a finger at your chest. You, he says. The word hangs in the air, heavy with finality. It's a death sentence for your old life and the birth of something new and terrifying. You have passed the interview. The word you echoes in the sudden silence of the plaza. It feels less like an invitation and more like a verdict. Your friends, the ones you ran against, look at you with a new kind of distance in their eyes. It's a cocktail of envy, respect, and a sliver of pity. You are no longer just one of them. You've been mocked. Your father steps forward, his face a mask of pride and profound sorrow. Your mother emerges from the doorway of your small stone house, her hand pressed to her mouth, her eyes already glistening. There is no time for long goodbyes. The Empire waits for no one. You are allowed one night. It's a strange, surreal evening. Your family treats you differently. There's a formality, a reverence that was there yesterday. Your younger siblings look at you with wide, uncomrephantide eyes. You are becoming a story to them, even before you've left. It tastes like ash in your mouth. Every bite is a farewell. Your father takes you outside, under the vast, stardust-dead canopy of the Indian night. The Milky Way, the Miwe, is a shimmering river of light across the sky. He doesn't say much. He doesn't need to. He puts a hand on your shoulder, its weight familiar and grounding. He speaks of duty, of honor. He tells you that your family's name now runs with you on the King's Road. Your success is their honor, your failure their shame. It's a burden heavier than any pack you will ever carry. He gives you a small, carved wooden lama, a token from home. So you don't forget the pastures, he says, his voice thick with emotion. You clench it in your hand, its smooth surface a tiny anchor to the life you are leaving behind. You don't sleep. You lie on your sleeping mat, listening to the familiar sounds of your home, the soft breathing of your family, the rustle of the guinea pigs in their corner, the distant cry of a night bird. Every sound is a memory you are desperately trying to sear into your mind. You are leaving the only world you have ever known. You will no longer wake to the smell of your mother's cooking fire or the sound of your father's footsteps. You are trading the certainty of the seasons and the harvest for the uncertainty of the road. The concept of a Charles Key leaving his family permanently is a point of some debate among anthropologists. Some evidence suggests that the service was a form of MITA, the mandatory public service system of the Inca. Under this interpretation, a young man might serve as a Charles Key for a set number of years before returning to his home village, much like a soldier completing a tour of duty. However, other accounts portray it as a lifelong commitment, a sacred calling from which there was no retirement. The truth might be that it varied depending on the era, the Sapa Inca in power, and the needs of the empire. Morning arrives too soon, cold and gray. The Cusco official and the Charles Key are waiting. There is no ceremony. There are no tears, at least, not in front of the official. Your mother hands you a small cloth bundle, some toasted quinoa and a few dried fruits. A meal for the journey. You look at her face, trying to memorize every line. You hug your father, a quick, stiff embrace. You are a man now, an agent of the state. You turn your back on your home, on the terraced fields, on the faces of everyone you love. You don't look back. You can't. If you do, you might not be able to take the first step. You fall into step behind the silent Charles Key, the official walking ahead of you both. The path you take is not a familiar one. It leads away from the high pastures and the stream. It leads towards the spine of the world. The silence between the three of you is heavy, broken only by the crunch of sandals on gravel and the whisper of the wind. The Charles Key seems to glide over the terrain, his steps economical and sure. You try to mimic him to find his rhythm. As you walk, a strange and niche detail of your new life becomes apparent. You notice the Charles Key periodically stopping to adjust the small, woven bag chew spot at his side. Inside is not food or water, but a meticulously organized supply of coca leaves. You learn that this isn't just a casual habit. The quality and supply of coca for the Chasquis were a matter of state importance. The finest leaves from specific state-controlled plantations in the warm eastern valleys were reserved for the nobility and the Chasquis. It was a strategic resource, a high-octane fuel for the empire's communication engine. Your access to this prime coca was now a privilege of your station, a small but significant sign that you no longer belong to yourself, but to the Sapa Inca. Hours pass. Your village disappears behind a fold in the mountains. The world opens up, vast and intimidating. The scale of the Andes is crushing. You are a tiny, insignificant speck crawling on the skin of a sleeping giant. The path is relentless, always climbing. You chew on a few of the coca leaves your new mentor gives you. They have a bitter, numbing taste, but they dull the ache in your legs and the gnawing anxiety in your stomach. Late in the afternoon, you round a sharp bend, and your breath catches in your throat. There, snaking its way up the mountain ahead of you, is something you have only heard about in the old traveler's stories. It's not a simple dirt track like the ones around your village. It is a road, a wide paved road, flanked by stone walls and featuring a staircase carved directly into the sheer rock face, ascending into the clouds. It is the Qhapaqnan, the King's Road. It is magnificent and terrifying. This is not a path for llamas or villagers. This is a path for the gods and for you. The Charles Key stops, turns to you, and speaks for the first time. His voice is raspy, quiet. This is your new home, he says, gesturing to the endless stone ribbon. Welcome to the race. Standing at the edge of the Qhapaqnan is like standing on the shore of a vast frozen ocean. The scale of it is difficult to process. The path you've been following your whole life, the one that felt so significant, is now revealed to be nothing more than a tiny, insignificant tributary feeding into this massive artery of stone. The road is wider than any path has a right to be, maybe 15 to 20 feet across in this section, paved with flat, tightly fitted stones that speak of immense labor. Stone gutters run along its edges, a drainage system to handle the torrential mountain rains. Low stone walls provide a token barrier against the dizzying drops to the valley floor below. You take a hesitant step onto the paved surface. The stone feels solid, unyielding under your sandals. It's a declaration of power, a statement that the empire doesn't just pass through this landscape, it commands it. The road stretches in both directions as far as you can see, a gray line drawn with impossible precision across the green and brown chaos of the mountains. It goes up, not by winding back and forth in gentle switchbacks like your village paths, but by marching straight up the mountainside in the form of colossal stone staircases. You stare at one of these flights of stairs, disappearing into the low-hanging clouds. It looks less like a road and more like a ladder for giants. Your guide, the seasoned Charles Key, watches you with an unreadable expression. He has seen this look of 100 times. It is not for walking, he says, his voice cutting through your reverie. It is for running. He points up the intimidating staircase. The Sepa Inca does not care if your legs are tired. He only cares if his message is late. As you begin your ascent, the reality of this road sinks in. This is not a road built for comfort. In fact, one of the most curious facts about the Qhapaqnan is what it was not built for: wheeled vehicles. The Inca Empire, for all its architectural and organizational genius, never used the wheel for transport. Historians and archaeologists still puzzle over this. It was that they were unaware of the concept. Some small toys with wheels have been found, suggesting they understood the principle. The most common theory is that the wheel was simply impractical in the incredibly steep and very Dandian environment. The sheer inclines and endless stairs would have rendered carts useless. Thus, the entire network was designed for only two things: foot traffic and Loma caravans. The road's design reflects this, prioritizing the most direct route over a gentler gradient. For you, the Charles Key, this is a brutal blessing. The direct, steep routes are shorter, saving precious time. You climb. The stairs are steep, their risers higher than is comfortable. Your calves and thighs begin to burn with a new, intense fire. The official from Cusco, surprisingly, keeps pace easily, his breathing steady. The Charles Key seems to float up the steps, his movements fluid and practiced. You are the one who is struggling, your lungs screaming for air that isn't there. This is a deliberate part of your orientation. They are showing you the monumental scale of your new workplace. You learn that the Qhapaqnan is not one single road, but a network. It's over 25,000 miles in total, a spitterbear of primary and secondary routes. There is the main highland artery, the one you are on, that runs along the spine of the Andes, and there is a parallel coastal highway running through the arid deserts by the Pacific. Connecting them are dozens of smaller lateral roads climbing and descending the mountains, weaving the two zones together. You will be expected to know every twist, every turn, every shortcut, and every danger of your designated section. The construction itself is a source of academic debate. How did they achieve such incredible feats of engineering without iron tools or draft animals? Scholars believe it was through the mighty labor system, mobilizing tens of thousands of workers from conquered territories. They would have used bronze and stone tools, along with immense patience and manpower, to quarry, shape, and fit the stones. The project was centrally planned but executed by local teams, which explains the regional variations in construction style that archaeologists see today. It was a masterpiece of project management. As you climb higher, the Charles Key points out details you would have missed. A small stone marker, indicating the distance to the next tambo. A section of the wall that is subtly different, a repair job done after a rock slide. A small shrine in a niche in the rock where a runner might leave a coca leaf as an offering to the Apus, the mountain spirits, to ask for safe passage. This road is not just a physical structure, it is a living entity with its own history, its own sacred spots, and its own personality. You also begin to notice its sounds. The whisper of the wind funneled by the rock cuts, the distant rumble of a waterfall, the cry of a hawk circling high above. But the most prominent sound is the silence. There is no rumble of carts, no clatter of hooves from horses. There is only the sound of your own breathing, the scuff of your sandals, and the pounding of your heart. It's a lonely, meditative, and intimidating soundscape. Late in the day, exhausted on digging in ways you never thought possible, you finally reach a plateau. The Charles Key stops and allows you a moment to catch your breath. He gestures back the way you came. Far below, you can just make out the valley where you started. It looks small, insignificant a world away. He then gestures forward to where the road continues its relentless journey north, a stone ribbon disappearing into the horizon. From here to the next main tambo is one run, he states. About 12 miles. You will learn to do it in just over an hour. At night, in the rain. That is what is expected. He lets the words sink in. The awe you felt at the bottom of the stairs is being replaced by a cold, hard nut of fear. You have seen the King's Row. Now you have to survive it. The days that follow bleed into a grueling routine that shatters your previous understanding of exhaustion. Your school is the road itself, and your teachers are the silent just key in the punishing altitude. There are no classrooms, no slates, no leisurely lessons. Your education is delivered through aching muscles, burning lungs, and the constant, gnawing feeling of being just one step away from failure. Your formal training begins at a larger tambo, a more substantial stone complex than the simple relay huts. It's a bustling place, a nerve center on the Great Road. Here, llama caravans rest, traveling nobles find lodging, and a small garrison of soldiers keeps watch. But for you, it is a boot camp. You are not alone. 2 other boys recruited from different valleys are here as well. One is lanky and quiet, the other compact and cocky. You are now rivals and brothers in suffering. The core of your training is, unsurprisingly, running. But it's not just mindless running. Your mentor, whose name you learn is Rumi, which means stone, teaches you the art of it. He teaches you how to breathe. It's a specific, rhythmic pattern of inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. A technique designed to maximize oxygen intake in the thin air. At first, it feels unnatural, forced. But Rumi is relentless, running alongside you, listening to your breath, correcting you with a sharp word or a tap on the back until the rhythm becomes second nature, a hum beneath the effort of your legs. He teaches you how to read the road. You learn to scan the path 20 paces ahead, not just where your foot will land next. You learn to distinguish the subtle signs of a loose stone, a patch of slick moss, or the treacherous black ice that forms in the shadows after a cold night. You learn to run downhill not by braking, but by leaning into the fall, your legs a blur of quick, short steps, a controlled avalanche of a man. It's terrifying, but it's fast. Your classroom is also a gymnasium. You are taught a series of exercises, stretches and strengthening routines that seem ancient and practiced. You do body weight squats to build power in your thighs for the endless stairs. You hold balancing poses on uneven rocks to strengthen your ankles and core. The purpose of these exercises is a fascinating piece of biomechanical wisdom. Inca runners needed incredible cardiovascular endurance, but also robust joint stability to prevent the sprains and twists that could end a career and a vital message's journey in an instant. This holistic approach to physical conditioning was likely a key factor in their success. Memory training is as important as physical training. In the evenings, when your body is screaming for rest, your mind is put to the test. Rumi will recite a short, complex message full of names, numbers, and locations. 20 new llamas for the garrison at Cajamarca. The tribute of woven cloth from the Huey lost people is 3 days late. Lord Chikawe's son has a fever. Then he will send you on a short, punishing run up a nearby hill. When you return, gasping, he will demand you repeat the message back, word for word. Any mistake, any hesitation, earns you another run. It's a cruel but effective method of teaching you to hold on to information when your body is under extreme stress. One of the more peculiar and debated aspects of a Charles quiz training involves what they ate. Your diet changes completely. Gone are the hearty, starchy stews of your village. Your meals become precise and strategic. But the real performance enhancer is what you're given in small, controlled doses, coca leaves. There's a persistent, though likely exaggerated, legend that some Charles quiz in training were fed ground maize that had been chewed first by young women. The theory from a modern perspective is that the enzymes in the saliva would have begun the process of breaking down the starches, making the energy more immediately available. While this sounds bizarre, it speaks to a culture obsessed with efficiency in all its forms. Whether this was a widespread practice or a localized myth is still a subject of historical speculation. The mental training is the hardest part. Rumi pushes you past your limits daily. He instills in you a sense of absolute, unquestioning duty. The message is sacred. The Sepa Inca's will is paramount. Your comfort, your fear, your very life are secondary. He tells you stories of Chosquis who have run through blizzards, who have outrun pumas, who have delivered their message with their last dying breath. These are not meant to be inspiring tales. They are meant to be the baseline, the standard you are expected to meet. One day, Rumi takes the three of you to a high, exposed ridge. The wind is howling, threatening to tear you from your footing. The road doesn't care about the wind, he yells over the roar. The message doesn't care about the coal. If you fall, another will take your place. The empire is a great river. You are only a single drop of water. But you must flow. You must always flow. In these weeks of relentless conditioning, something inside you begins to shift. The soft village boy is being worn away, replaced by something harder, leaner, more resilient. The fear is still there, but it's changing. It's no longer the fear of the unknown, but the fear of failure. You are being forged, hammered into a tool, a living part of the Emperor's will. Your body is becoming a machine, and your mind a slate, ready to carry the words of a god. The next step in your education is to learn how to read the secrets that you will soon carry. Now that your body is being hammered into shape, your mind must be sharpened into a different kind of tool. Running is only half your job. The other half is understanding what you carry. You won't be transporting scrolls or letters. The Inca, remarkably, ran their vast empire without a system of writing as we know it. Instead, you will carry information encoded in one of the most unique and enigmatic devices in human history, the quipu. Rumi brings out your first one. It's not a sacred imperial message, just a practice tool. It looks like a strange, fibrous jellyfish. A thick primary cord, maybe a couple of feet long, serves as the backbone. From this main cord hang dozens of thinner, colored strings, like a complex fringe. Some of these pendant strings have smaller, subsidiary strings branching off them, and all the strings are covered in knots. It's a chaotic, beautiful, and utterly baffling object. This, Rumi says, holding it up, is the voice of the Sepa Inca. It is the memory of the empire. It speaks of warriors, of harvests, of gold, of births, and of deaths. To you, it will be more important than your food or your life. You must learn its language. Your first lesson is in texture and material. You learn to distinguish the feel of the different fibers. The main cord is often made of sturdy llama wool, while the pendant strings could be finer alpaca or even cotton, a valuable commodity from the coastal lowlands. The choice of material itself, Rumi explains, can convey meaning, though what exactly is a subject of intense debate among modern scholars. Some believe llama wool was for state or military matters, while cotton was for economic or census data. But there's no Rosetta Stone for quippers to confirm this. It remains a tantalizing mystery. Next, you learn color. The strings are dyed in a whole spectrum of hues, from earthy browns and stark whites to brilliant reds and deep blues. Each color is a category. White, you learn, can represent silver or peace, or a specific type of crop like potatoes. Yellow can mean gold, or maize. Red can signify war, or the army, or the Sepa Inca himself. A string of a specific color tells the quipu CMAOC, the trained quipu reader in Cusco or a major administrative center, what the numbers on that string are referring to. The system is brilliant but also maddeningly complex, as the meaning of a color could change based on its context or its position on the main chord. Then come the notes. This is the heart of the quipu. Rumi shows you the three basic types. At the very bottom of a string are the single knots, representing the one's position 19. Above them are the long notes, with multiple turns, representing the tens, hundreds, and thousands. And at the very top is a special type of knot, the figure 8 knot. You learn that the Inca used a base 10 decimal system, just like we do. A knot's value was determined by the number of turns within it, and its position on the string determined its place value. A string might have a knot with 4 turns at the bottom 4, a long knot with 3 turns above it 30, and a long knot with 2 turns above at 200. Read together, that string represents the number 234. It's mathematics made tangible. You spend hours, your fingers growing raw, practicing how to tie the knots precisely. The tension has to be perfect. A sloppy knot could be misread. A message about 10 llamas could become 100, a disastrous error for a villager's tribute. One of the most mind-bending, like lever and weirdly niche facts about the quipu is the concept of knot direction. Rumi shows you how a standard knot is tied with an est twist, but it can also be tied in reverse with a z twist. This subtle difference, nearly invisible to an untrained eye, was a binary switch. What did it signify? This is one of the biggest arguments in Quipu studies. Some researchers propose it could mean positive versus negative, like a credit and a debit in an accounting ledger. Others suggest it could differentiate between two classes of item within the same color category. It might even have a more abstract grammatical function that we simply don't understand. It's a layer of complexity that hints at a system far more sophisticated than just a simple counting tool. As a JAWS key, you are not expected to be a master Quipu MAOC. You are not an accountant or a historian. You are a courier. Your job isn't to create or fully interpret the quipas. Your primary job is to transport them safely and, crucially, to remember the short oral message that often came with them. The Quipu provided the hard data, the numbers, the quantities. But the context, the headline, was a memorized verbal component. Rumi tests you constantly. He'll hand you a practice Quipu. The yellow string shows the maize tribute from the Yujia region, he'll say. The white string with the Z twist shows the silver ode. The red string is the number of soldiers garrisoned there. This message is for the quartermaster in B. I'll cash you a man. Do. You would then run a circuit, the Quipu tucked safely in a pouch, repeating the verbal tag to yourself over and over, melding it with the physical object of the Quipu itself. The combination of the object, the numbers, and the memorized phrase was the complete message. You begin to feel a deep reverence for these knotted strings. They are not just ropes, they are living documents. A single Quipu could contain an entire village's census, its agricultural output, its tax obligations, and its history. They were the empire's hard drives, its spreadsheets, and its legal records, all dangling from a single cord. And you, the runner, were the high-speed data cable, the fiber optic line, ensuring this critical information flowed ceaselessly to the central processing unit, the government in Cusco. Your legs carry the data, but it is your mind that carries the key to unlocking it. With your body conditioned and your mind initiated into the secrets of the Quipu, it is time for you to be outfitted for the job. You are taken to the quartermaster at the Tambo, a stern, meticulous man who presides over a storeroom filled with the essential gear of the empire. The process is formal, almost ceremonial. You are shedding the last vestiges of your old identity and putting on the uniform of your new life. What you receive is striking in its minimalism. There is no armor, no heavy leather, no superfluous. Everything a JAWS key wears is designed for one purpose and one purpose only, to make you as light, fast, and efficient as possible. First are the sandals, or as hates. They are not the simple, crude footwear of your village. The soles are made from the tough, flexible hide of a llama, carefully cured to withstand the punishing stone roads. The straps are woven from fine, strong alpaca wool, designed to hold your foot securely without chafing. The quartermaster watches as you try them on, ensuring the fit is perfect. They blister, a seemingly minor inconvenience, could be a disaster for a runner on a time-sensitive mission. Next is the tunic. It's a simple sleeveless garment made of woven wool, falling to just above your knees. It's light and breathable, allowing for a full range of motion. Unlike the brightly colored tunics of officials, yours is a plain, earthy color, meant to blend in with the landscape. You are not meant to be seen, you are meant to pass like a ghost. Then you receive the 3 items that are the iconic toolkit of the JAWS key. First is the chuspa, the small, colorfully woven bag you've seen Rumi carry. It's worn over the shoulder and rests at your hip. The quartermaster hands you yours, and it's surprisingly heavy. Inside is not your personal gear, but your fuel, a carefully measured allotment of coca leaves. This is your most vital provision, the secret to staving off hunger, thirst, and fatigue during a grueling run. Tucked beside the leaves is a small, hollowed-out gourd containing powdered lime or ash from the quinoa plant. You are instructed on how to use it. You chew the coca leaves to form a quid in your cheek, then use a small stick to add a tiny amount of the alkaline powder. This activates the alkaloids in the leaves, releasing their stimulating effect. This process is a ritual, a moment of focus before you begin a run. Second is the QIPI, a lightweight woolen mantle or small blanket tied over your shoulders. This is not for warmth. It's a carrying device. The corners are knotted in front of your chest, creating a pouch on your back. This is where you will carry your precious cargo. Most of the time it will equip you, carefully wrapped in cloth to protect it from the elements. But sometimes, as you will discover, it will carry other things. The design is ingenious. It keeps your hands and arms completely free for balance while running. Finally, the quartermaster hands you a pututiu. It's a beautiful, polished conch shell harvested from the warm waters of the distant coast. It feels cool and heavy in your hands. This is your horn, your signal. You're taught how to blow into it, producing a deep, resonant blast that can carry for miles in the thin mountain air. You will sound the pututiu as you approach the next relay station to alert the waiting Chusky that you are coming. It's the sound of the system at work, a sonic handshake passed from one runner to the next across the vastness of the Andes. One of the strangest and most debated items of a Chusky's uniform is something you don't receive: a weapon. You are a vital state asset carrying sensitive information, yet you are given no spear, no sling, no club for defense. Why? Historians offer a few compelling theories. First, speed was your armor. You were meant to outrun threats, not fight them. Engaging in combat would waste precious time. Second, the Chusky was a protected class. Harming one was considered a direct attack on the Inca himself, a crime punishable by death. Your uniform itself was your protection, a symbol of the state's authority. And third, a weapon is heavy. Even a small club adds weight, and over a 12-mile high-speed run, every ounce is a burden. The Empire chose to sacrifice defense for the ultimate strategic advantage: velocity. As you stand there, dressed in your new gear, you feel transformed. You are no longer a boy from a nameless village. You are a component, a standardized part in a grand machine. Every item you carry has been refined over generations for maximum efficiency. The coca leaves in your chuspa, the knot of the QIPI on your chest, the weight of the pututiu in your hand, it's all part of a science of running that the Inca perfected. Rumi inspects you, adjusting the strap of your chuspa, checking the knot on your QIPI. He nods, a rare sign of approval. You are no longer a boy, he says. You are a foot of the Sepa Inca. You do not carry a message. You are the message. He takes you to the edge of the tambo where the great road stretches out into the cold, clear air. Your first leg is from here to the station at outpace. Another runner is there, waiting for a message from this garrison. He hands you a simple practice quipu, its strings limp and meaningless. But you will run as if it holds the fate of the Empire. The next runner has been told to expect you. Do not be late. He shows you how to blow the pututiu. You raise the conch shell to your lips. The sound that comes out is pathetic, a weak, sputtering gasp. Rumi shakes his head. Again, you take a deeper breath, focusing, and blow again. This time a low, mournful note echoes across the valley. It's a lonely, powerful sound. It's the sound of your new life beginning. You secure the quipu in your QIPI, settle the coca bag at your hip, and take your first true steps as a Chusky on the King's Road. The run to Waramayo Pass is a brutal awakening. It's one thing to train under rum is watchful eye. It's another thing entirely to be alone on the road, with nothing but the wind and the pounding of your own heart for company. The 12 miles feel like 100. The practice quipu on your back feels as heavy as a sack of stones, a constant reminder of the responsibility you now carry. Your lungs burn, your legs are on fire, and the high-altitude sun beats down relentlessly. By the time you see the small stone hut perched on the desolate pass, you are stumbling, your vision blurred with sweat and exhaustion. You sound your pututiu, a weakened dragged call, and see another runner emerge from the hut, already stretching, ready to go. You gasp out the fake verbal message Rumi gave you, hand over the practice quipu, and collapse onto the rough grass as the other runner disappears down the path without a word. This is your introduction to the tambo. Not the large, garrisoned complexes like the one where you trained, but the small, essential relay stations that are the true heart of the Chusky system. These humble stone huts are the pit stops in the Grand Prix of the Andes. After you've recovered your breath, you take a closer look at your new temporary home. It's a simple, robust structure built from field stones and thatched with thick archer grass, designed to withstand the ferocious mountain weather. It's tiny, barely big enough for 2 men to lie down in. Inside, it's Spartan. There are a couple of wool blankets on a raised sleeping platform, a few gourds for water, and a small hearth in the corner for a fire, though there's precious little fuel to be found at this altitude. This is a Chazki, was I. A house for a Chazki. These small relay posts were placed at meticulously planned intervals along the Qhapaknan. The distance between them varied, depending on the terrain. In the flat coastal desert, they might be farther apart. But here in the highlands with the grueling ascents and descents, they were typically spaced about 10 to 15 miles apart, the maximum distance a runner could cover at a full, explosive sprint before his performance began to degrade. The entire system was a masterpiece of logistics, calculated to maintain the highest possible average speed. You learn that life at the Tambo is a cycle of waiting and running. You are stationed here with one other Chazki, a taciturn veteran named Kuntur. For the most part, you are expected to be in a state of readiness. One of you must always be awake, alert, listening for the sound of an approaching Puchutiu. You eat your rest, you maintain your gear, and you wait. The boredom can be as challenging as the run itself. One of the most interesting, and still debated, questions about the Tamboes is how they were supplied. Who brought the food, the water, the firewood, the coca leaves to these remote outposts? The prevailing theory is that it was the responsibility of the local communities. Each nearby village was tasked with supplying and maintaining a certain number of Tamboes as part of their Maito labor tax. This decentralized system was incredibly efficient, ensuring that the runners were always provisioned without requiring a separate, dedicated supply corps. It was another layer of the brilliant organizational genius that held the empire together, embedding the cost of the communication network directly into the fabric of the society it served. A strange and little-known aspect of Tambo life was its own microeconomy. While Chasquis were state employees, there are anecdotal accounts of a small-scale bartering system between the runners. A Chazki coming from a valley known for its sweet, dried fruits might trade a handful with a runner coming from a region known for its potent tobacco. It was a small way of breaking the monotony and dehumanizing detail in a system that was otherwise ruthlessly regimented. These small exchanges of goods also subtly transmitted cultural information across the vast empire. Days at the Tambo were long and quiet. You watch the clouds drift across the sky. You watch the sun trace its arc. You practice tying knots. Kuntur, your partner, rarely speaks, but you learn from watching him. You see the way he constantly chews his coca leaves, maintaining a steady level of energy. You see the way he meticulously cleans his sandals after every run. You see the way his head snaps up at the slightest unusual sound, his body instantly tensing. He is a coiled spring, always ready. Then, one afternoon, you hear it. Not a practice run, not a drill. A real Puchuti you call, faint but clear, from down the valley. Kuntur looks at you. This one is yours, he says. The adrenaline hits you like a physical blow. This is it. Your first real message. You scramble out of the hut, your heart hammering against your ribs. You do the quick stretches Rumi taught you. You take a fresh quid of coca from your juice ball. You watch the path, and soon you see him a speck in the distance, growing larger, moving with incredible speed. He sounds as Puchuti again, closer this time, and you raise yours in reply, a clear, strong note that says, I am ready. The approaching runner doesn't slow down. He sprints right up to you, his face a mask of exhaustion and focus. He is already gasping out the verbal message as he fumbles with the quipu in his QIPI. Rebellion in the Chacaboas territory, Governor, needs 500 more soldiers urgent. He shoves the quipu into your hand. The strings feel electric. This is not a drill. This is real. Before you can even process the weight of the words, he is gone, collapsing into the tambo you just left. Kuntur will take care of him. Your job is ahead of you. You turn and run, your mind blank of everything except the destination, the message, and the rhythm of your feet on the stone path. You are no longer just a runner. You are a link in the chain, a living part of the Emperor's nervous system. And the stones of this lonely oasis, this tambo, are the synapse, firing a signal of rebellion and war across the Andes. The words rebellion and urgent are a fire in your mind. They burn away your fatigue, your aches, the lingering boredom of the tempo. This is what you were trained for. This is the moment where failure is not an option. You find a new gear, a deeper well of energy you didn't know you possessed. The road winds before you, a familiar stretch you've run in practice, but now it feels different, charged with importance. As you ascend towards the next high pass, the air thins, and the familiar burn in your lungs returns with a vengeance. The world starts to feel fuzzy at the edges. Your legs feel heavy, like they are wading through thick mud. This is altitude sickness, the ever-present enemy of life in the Andes. But you have a secret weapon, an ally your ancestors have relied on for thousands of years. You reach into your chuspa. Your fingers close around the small, dry, oval-shaped leaves, the coca leaves. You pull out a small handful, about a dozen of them, and one by one, place them in your mouth, tucking them into your cheek. You don't chew them aggressively, but gently masticate them, breaking them down until they form a tight, moist ball, a quid. Then you take out the small stick from your gourd of lime powder, moisten the tip, and dip it into the white powder. You carefully introduce the stick into your mouth, touching the alkaline powder to the wad of coca leaves. The effect is almost immediate. A slight numbness spreads through your cheek and tongue, followed by a subtle but profound shift in your entire being. The feeling of exhaustion doesn't vanish, but it recedes, pushed to the background. The gnawing hunger in your stomach subsides. Your breathing seems to deepen, to become more efficient, as if your lungs are suddenly able to pull more life from the thin air. The world sharpens. The colors of the rocks, the deep blue of the sky, everything seems more vibrant. This isn't a rush of manic energy. It's a feeling of heightened endurance, of focused clarity. The use of coca leaves by the Inca is one of their most famous and often misunderstood cultural practices. For you, as a Chasqui, it is not a recreational drug. It is a vital tool, a piece of essential equipment as important as your sandals. The coca plant was considered sacred, a gift from the gods. Its use was highly ritualized and controlled by the state. You were taught the proper way to use it, not just for its physical benefits, but with a sense of respect. Before placing the leaves in your mouth, you were taught to select 3 of the best ones, hold them up to the sky in a small fan, and blow gently upon them as an offering to the Apus, the mountain spirits, and to Pachama, the Earth Mother. It was a prayer for strength and safe passage. This ritual act connects you to a deep history. Archaeologists have found evidence of coca use in the Andes dating back at least 8,000 years. The Incas simply perfected its cultivation and distribution, turning it into a two-love empire. They understood its value in allowing people to work at extreme altitudes where an unacclimated person would be incapacitated. There is a fascinating and often overlooked scientific reason for coca's effectiveness beyond just being a stimulant. Modern studies have shown that chewing coca leaves can actually improve glucose uptake in the bloodstream, providing a more stable and sustained source of energy. It also acts as a vasoconstrict, which some researchers believe helps to regulate blood flow and mitigate the effects of hypoxia, oxygen deprivation. The Inca didn't know the biochemistry, of course. They just knew that it worked. Their knowledge was empirical, built on thousands of years of observation. The historical debate around coca centers on its accessibility. Some colonial Spanish chroniclers wrote that coca use was a privilege restricted to the nobility and special classes like the Chasquis. Others suggested it was more widespread, used by farmers and laborers in high-altitude regions. The consensus among many historians today is that while anyone might have been able to grow a few plants for personal or local ceremonial use, the highest quality leaves the ones you have in your chuspa were grown on state-owned plantations, and their distribution was tightly controlled by the Sepa Inca's government. Your supply is a mark of your status. Fueled by the sacred leaf, you settle into your rhythm. The run becomes a moving meditation. The world narrows to the path ahead, the feel of the quipu on your back, the taste of coca in your mouth, and the vital message locked in your memory. You are a human machine optimized for this exact task, in this exact environment. You pass a small shrine to a mountain APU, a cairn of stones where travelers have left offerings. Without breaking stride, you spit a small bit of coca juice onto a rock as you pass, a gesture of respect, an acknowledgement of the powers greater than yourself. You are not just running on a road, you are moving through a sacred landscape, and you must act accordingly. The effects of the coca will last for the duration of your run, about an hour or so. It's a window of peak performance. You know that as you near your destination, the effects will begin to fade, and the bone-deep exhaustion will rush back in. But that doesn't matter. All that matters is getting to the next tambo before the window closes. You push harder, the urgent message about a distant rebellion propelling you forward. Each footstep a beat in the great, thrumming heart of the empire. Your rhythm is steady, powered by coca and adrenaline. The path begins to descend from the high, desolate pass into a more sheltered valley. The air grows marginally thicker, and the landscape changes from barren rock to sparse grasslands dotted with hardy shrubs. You know you are getting close. Your focus narrows to one thing, the handover. The message is everything, and a clean, fast exchange is critical. As you round a bend that offers a long view of the valley ahead, you know it's time. You reach for the pututiu slung at your side. This isn't a weak, sputtering practice blow from your first day. You have learned the technique. It's not about sheer force, but about a controlled, focused burst of air, vibrating your lips against the mouthpiece in just the right way. You take a deep, lung-filling breath, purse your lips, and blow. A deep, resonant sound explodes from the conch shell. It's a powerful, mournful note that seems to hang in the thin air, echoing off the surrounding mountainsides. It's a sound that doesn't belong here, a voice from the sea carried to the roof of the world. It cuts through the constant whisper of the wind, a clear, unambiguous signal. I am coming. Be ready. You don't break stride. You sound the horn while in full motion, a skill that took you weeks to perfect without losing your balance or your breathing rhythm. A few moments later, a faint, distant reply reaches you. Another pututiu answers your call. The next link in the chain has heard you. He is awake, alert, and preparing to take the baton. This sonic handshake is the invisible pulse of the Choa's key network. It's a simple but brilliant piece of communication technology. It ensures there are no wasted moments at the relay station. The receiving runner isn't startled from sleep. HES already stretching, taking his own quid of coca, mentally preparing for his run. The seconds saved at each of the hundreds of tamboas add up to hours, even days, over the course of a long-distance message. The pututiu itself is a fascinating object of logistics and trade. These conch shells specifically, the species Strombus galeatus, are not native to the cold waters of the Peruvian coast. They are harvested in the warm equatorial waters hundreds, even thousands of miles to the north in what is now Ecuador. They were a valuable trade item long before the Incas, prized for their ceremonial and musical use. The Inca state, recognizing their utility, organized the trade and distribution of these shells, ensuring a steady supply reached the Chosquis, even in the most remote high-altitude corners of the empire. Your horn is a physical symbol of the vast reach of Tawantinsuyu, a piece of the distant ocean you carry with you on the mountain peaks. This use of sound for signaling is a key part of Inca statecraft, but there's a historical debate about how standardized the signals were. Was there just one call, I am coming, or were there different calls for different types of messages? Some ethno-historians speculate there might have been a simple code. For example, one long blast for a standard message versus 3 short blasts for a message of extreme urgency like the one you are carrying now. This would give the receiving runner a crucial heads-up, allowing him to prepare mentally for the gravity of the information. However, there's no definitive proof of such a system. It remains an intriguing possibility, another layer of the network's sophistication that may be lost to time. A little known and somewhat quirky fact about the pututiu is its secondary use. In a pinch, it could be a defensive tool, not as a weapon, but as an alarm. Is key cornered by a predator, a puma, or a bear, or ambushed by bandits in a lawless area could sound a series of frantic, desperate blasts. It was a panic button, a call for help that might be heard by a nearby patrol, a work crew on the road, or at the next tambo, alerting them to trouble on that leg of the route. You sound your horn one last time as the tambo comes into clear view. It's a small, solitary hut, just like the one you left. A lone figure stands outside, his body taut with anticipation. He is your mirror image, the same simple tunic, the same true spa, the same coiled energy. You don't aim to stop at the tambo. You aim to run through it. You fix your eyes on the waiting runner, and as you close the final 100 yards, you begin gasping out the verbal message. Your words come in ragged bursts, timed with your exhalations. Rebellion Jacopoa's governor, 500 soldiers urgent. He runs towards you, his face a mask of concentration, absorbing the words. You are still moving as you pull the quipu from your QIPI. Your hands meet in a fleeting, precise exchange. The knotted strings pass from your palm to his. He doesn't even break stride. HES already turning, the quipu secure in his hand, the verbal message locked in his mind, and he is gone, accelerating down the path. The entire exchange takes less than 5 seconds. You stumble to a halt, the momentum draining out of you. The sudden silence is deafening. The adrenaline begins to recede, and a wave of profound exhaustion washes over you. Your job is done. The message is no longer your burden. It continues its journey, carried on fresh legs, its urgency undiminished. You watch the back of the other runner until he disappears around a bend, his own put-you-tea you call now echoing faintly back to you from down the valley. You stumble into the simple stone tambo, your body screaming in protest. The runner you just relieved, the one who brought the urgent message to you, is inside, sipping water from a gourd. He looks up, his face still etched with the strain of his own run. He gives you a slight nod, a gesture of shared experience, of professional respect. There's no need for names or pleasantries. You are cogs in the same machine, defined by your function. For a day, maybe two, this small hut is your world. You rest. You eat the simple provisions of toasted maize and chuno. You meticulously clean your sandals, checking for any signs of wear. You drink water sparingly, conserving the precious supply. And you wait, listening always for the sound of the next puchutillo. The cycle is relentless. 2 days later, the call comes again. This time, it's from the direction you just ran from, a message heading towards the imperial heartland of Cusco. The other runner, your temporary partner, leaps to his feet and prepares to depart. But as the approaching Chozki gets closer, it becomes clear this is different. He is not just carrying a quipu. He is also flanked by 2 grim-faced imperial soldiers. This is highly unusual. The military does not get involved in the Chozki system unless the message is of the absolute highest importance. The arriving runner is older, a veteran with a scarred face. He ignores your partner and walks directly to you. The soldiers stand guard at the door. The veteran's eyes are intense. He speaks in a low, serious voice. This comes from the regional governor at Juan Ucio Pampa, he says. It is for the eyes of the Sepa Inca's council alone. The verbal message is this: the omens are dark. The stars are misaligned. A plot is suspected within the court itself. He then hands you the quipu. It feels different from any other you've held. The main cord is thick, and the strings are predominantly dyed in black and deep, blood-red hues. The knots are complex, dense. This isn't a tally of llamas or a report on grain stores. This is something else entirely. Something dangerous. The soldiers will run the first mile with you, the veteran says. No one is to approach you. Just no one on the road. The safety of the Empire may rest on this message. This is your first truly critical piece of intelligence. A message about rebellion is one thing. It's a logistical problem of soldiers and supplies. But a message about a plot within the court in Cusco, that is a threat to the very brain of the Empire. Your blood runs cold. The small, carved llama from your father, tucked in a pouch, feels a million miles away. The responsibility is crushing. You are no longer just a courier. You are a secret keeper. The knotted strings in your hand are not just data. They are an accusation, a whisper of treason that could topple nobles and spill blood in the Golden City. You must not only be fast, but you must also be invisible and corporate. The ethics and security of the Chozki system are a subject of much fascination. How did the Empire ensure the integrity of its messages? There was, of course, the severe punishment for failure. H's key, who lost a quipu or was proven to have tampered with a message, faced death, and his family could be punished as well. This was a powerful deterrent. But there were other, more subtle systems at play. Sometimes a shadow chusky would be dispatched on a parallel route with a duplicate of an extremely important quipio. If one runner failed, the other might get through. This redundancy, though costly, was a safeguard for the most vital state secrets. Historians still debate how common this practice was, as evidence for it is sparse and mostly anecdotal from Spanish accounts. You also become acutely aware of a very niche, almost paranoid, aspect of your job, information security. You were taught never to discuss the verbal component of your message with your resting partner at the tambo. The runner you relieved might know the message, and the runner you hand off to will know it. But the man you share a hut with for 2 days should be kept in the dark. Information was compartmentalized. This need-to-know basis was a fundamental principle of Inca intelligence, minimizing the risk of a leak if a tambo were to be compromised. You set out the 2 soldiers trotting alongside you. Their presence is both a comfort and a source of intense anxiety. They are a clear signal to anyone watching that you are carrying something special. Their job isn't to help you run, but to form a protective bubble around you, to intercept anyone who might try to stop you or speak to you. After a mile on an open, exposed stretch of the road, they stop. One of them gives you a final hard look. Run like the shadows are chasing you, he says, because they might be. Then they turn and head back, leaving you alone with the vast, silent landscape and the explosive secret on your back. Every shadow seems to hold a threat. Is that a shepherd on the distant hill, or a spy? Is that a rock slide, or a deliberate ambush? The paranoia is a new kind of fuel, mixing with the coca and the adrenaline. You are not just running against time now. You are running against unseen enemies. The quipio in your QIP feels like it's burning a hole through the cloth. You repeat the verbal message over and over in your head, the words dark omens, and plots synchronizing with your footfalls. This is the ultimate test. Your speed, your endurance, your memory, your loyalty, it all comes down to this. You are a single, fragile human thread, and you are carrying the weight of a possible civil war in the knots of a colored string. The mountains have never felt so large, and you have never felt so small. Leaving the soldiers behind, you push your body into a state of heightened alert. The message of a court conspiracy has transformed the familiar road into a landscape of potential threats. The run becomes a tense, psychological ordeal. The physical challenge is immense, as this leg of your route takes you up into one of the highest sections of the QH of Haknan in this region. This is the realm of the Kundar, a world of rock, ice, and sky. The stone staircase before you seems to ascend into the heavens itself. This is the section known as the Puma's Tooth, a notoriously steep and treacherous climb. The air grows so thin it feels like breathing dust. Each inhalation is a conscious effort, a shallow victory against the suffocating altitude. Your heart hammers against your ribs, not just from exertion, but from a primal fear of this hostile environment. The coca quid in your cheek is working overtime, a small chemical furnace staving off the worst of the hypoxia. But it can't create oxygen that isn't there. You fall into what Rumi called the high peaks rhythm, shorter strides, a slightly faster cadence, and a constant, controlled pattern of breathing. You are no longer just running, you are managing a complex internal system of energy and oxygen, making constant micro-adjustments to your pace and effort. As you climb, the world is reduced to a stark, brutal beauty. To your right, a sheer drop of thousands of feet into a cloud-filled valley. To your left, a wall of dark, jagged rock. The road is a precarious ribbon cut into the face of the mountain. There are no guardrails, no safety nets. A single misstep, a moment of inattention, means a swift and final end. This is why Chusky's selection was so rigorous. Not just anyone could handle this combination of physical stress and psychological pressure. High above, a massive bird circles effortlessly on the thermal updrafts. A condor. You watch it for a moment. Its wingspan wider than 2 men are tall. In Inca cosmology, the condor is one of the most powerful and sacred animals. It represents the Hainan Pacha, the upper world, the realm of the gods. It is a messenger between the heavens and the earth. Seeing one is considered a powerful omen. But what kind of omen? Good or bad? Given the nature of the message on your back, you can't be sure. You feel a strange kinship with the great bird. You are both messengers, moving through this high, lonely world. This leg of the journey highlights a fascinating, and often debated, element of the Chomsky system specialization. Did every Chomsky run every type of terrain, or were there specialists? Some historians propose that the network was even more refined than we imagine. A runner with a build and lung capacity perfectly suited for extreme altitude might spend his entire career running the high peak routes. Conversely, a Chomsky who grew up in the lowlands might be faster and more heat-resistant, assigned exclusively to the flat, scorching hot coastal desert routes. If this theory is correct, the handover at the Tambo was just a change of runner. It was a change to a different kind of physiological specialist, like a pit stop in a modern race where a car switches two tires designed for a different track condition. As you near the summit of the pass, the weather, with the sudden fury of the Andes, turns against you. The sky, which was a brilliant blue moments ago, is now a menacing gray. A cold, biting wind begins to howl, funneling through the rock cuts. Then the snow begins. Not gentle flakes, but a hard, driving sleet that stings your exposed sky and reduces visibility to a few dozen feet. The road becomes instantly treacherous. The smooth stones are coated in a thin, slick layer of ice and slush. Your llama-hide sandals, so effective on dry rock, now offer precious little grip. Every step is a calculated risk. You slow your pace, your body tensed, using the low stone wall on the inside of the path to guide you. The quipier with its dark secret feels heavier, colder. The thought of slipping, of the message tumbling into the abyss, is more terrifying than the fall itself. This is where a little-known piece of your training cheeks in. Rumi had made you run in the worst possible conditions in the rain and the dark, and on icy paths near the training tambo. He taught you to shorten your stride even more, to land on the ball of your foot, to use your arms for balance like a tightrope walker. You are drawing on that muscle memory now, your body reacting instinctively while your mind fights off the rising panic. You are utterly alone, a tiny, warm-blooded creature fighting against the overwhelming power of the mountain. The wind shrieks, trying to pry you from the path. The snow blinds you, but the message drives you on. A plot is suspected. The words are a mantra, a hot coal in your mind that fights the encroaching cold. You are the Sepa Inca's will. You are the nervous system, and the signal must get through. You press on, step by treacherous step, racing not just a rival runner, but the gods of the mountain themselves. After what feels like an eternity battling the blizzard on the high pass, you begin your descent. The snow thins to a cold, miserable rain, and you drop below the cloud line. The world reappears, green and dripping and alive. The relief is immense, but it's short-lived. Ahead of you lies a new and perhaps even more terrifying obstacle. The road comes to an abrupt halt at the edge of a deep, roaring canyon. The river below is a torrent of brown, churning water, swollen by the mountain rains. There is no stone bridge here. Spanning the chasm is something that looks like it was woven by spiders, an Inca grass bridge or QES Huachaca. It's a tube of woven grass and vine, maybe 4 feet in diameter, suspended hundreds of feet above the river. 2 thick, massive cables, each as thick as your torso from the floor, with smaller handrail cables running alongside. The sides are a lattice of woven reeds and sticks, creating a semi-enclosed walkway. The entire structure sways and groans in the wind, a living, breathing thing. Your heart sinks. You've heard stories of these bridges, but seeing one is different. It looks fragile, impossibly delicate against the raw power of the landscape, and you have to run across it. These suspension bridges were one of the Inca's most brilliant and daring engineering solutions. They were essential for creating a direct route across the impassable canyons of the Andes. Building a stone bridge in a location like this would have been impossible. So, they used the strongest, most flexible materials available: grass, specifically a tough highland grass called QOYA. The construction of these bridges was a massive, ritualized community effort. Each year, the villages on either side of the canyon would gather. The old bridge would be cut down and allowed to fall into the river as an offering. Then, over the course of 3 days, the entire community, led by a master bridge builder, would weave a new one. The women and children would braid small cords of grass, which the men would then weave into larger and larger ropes, until they had the massive cables needed for the foundation. It was a physical and spiritual act of renewal, a retying of the bonds of the community and their connection to the empire. A bridge didn't just connect two sides of a canyon, it connected people. You take a deep breath and step onto the bridge. The sensation is unnerving. It's not solid. It sways under your weight, and the floor, made of woven mats laid over the main cables, is uneven and springy. You can see the raging river directly below through the gaps in the weave. The roar of the water fills your ears. It's a sensory overload. You begin to move, not at a full run, but at a fast, shuffling trot. You keep your center of gravity low, your hands trailing along the rough handrail cables. The bridge bounces in rhythm with your steps, creating a nauseating, hypnotic motion. This is a test of nerve as much as agility. A moment of panic, a sudden jerky movement could be disastrous. One of the weirdest and most specific rules about these bridges was the strict one-way traffic system. Because the bridges swayed so much, it was considered incredibly dangerous for people to cross in opposite directions at the same time, as their competing rhythms could amplify the oscillations to a catastrophic degree. Nature's key, however, always had the right of way. If you were approaching the bridge and saw a llama caravan or a group of travelers coming from the other side, they were required by law to retreat and wait for you to cross. You were the priority. There's an ongoing academic discussion about the lifespan and maintenance of these bridges. Spanish accounts marvel at them, but also note their seeming fragility. Modern analysis and the continued existence of one last ceremonial grass bridge in Peru today, the QES Huachaca, which is rebuilt annually, suggests they were incredibly strong, capable of supporting the weight of dozens of people. The key was the constant renewal. The Inca understood that the organic materials would decay. So, they didn't build the bridges to last forever. They institutionalized the process of replacing them. It was a system of planned obsolescence, a brilliant adaptation to the materials and the environment. Halfway across, a strong gust of wind slams into the side of the canyon. The bridge swings out violently. You cling to the handrails, your knuckles white, your body pressed against the woven lattice. For a terrifying moment, you are hanging over the abyss. The secret of the court conspiracy flashes in your mind. To fail here, to let this message of treason plunge into the churning water below, is an unthinkable dereliction of duty. You hold on, your muscles screaming, until the gust subsides and the bridge settles back into its rhythmic sway. You don't hesitate. You push off again, your feet finding their rhythm on the bouncing floor. You fix your eyes on the solid ground of the far side, making it your only reality. When your feet finally touch the unmoving stone of the road on the other side, a wave of relief so powerful it almost brings you to your knees washes over you. You don't look back. You just run. You have crossed the chasm, conquered the swaying bridge, and the precious, dark secret you carry is still safe. The physical run is hard, but the mental toll of crossing like that is a unique kind of exhaustion. You've survived another of the Nan's deadly trials. The adrenaline from the bridge crossing carries you for another mile. But as twilight begins to bleed across the sky, a new kind of challenge presents itself. The sun dips below the western peaks, and the Andes are plunged into a deep, profound darkness. You are now entering the world of the night run. The Chowski system never slept. The flow of information was a 24-hour operation, as relentless as a river. A message didn't stop just because the sun went down. This meant that for every Chowski stationed at a tambo, one was essentially on the day shift, the other on the night shift. Your journey with the secret Quipu has pushed you into the domain of shadows. Running on the Huachapacnan at night is a completely different experience. The road, your familiar workplace, transforms into a ghostly, alien landscape. The great stone path is now a faint, silvery ribbon under the moonlight. The familiar landmarks, the sharp turn, the steep staircase, the small shrine are now just vague, menacing shapes in the gloom. Your senses are on high alert. Your hearing becomes your most important tool. You listen for the scuff of your own sandals on the stone, the whisper of the wind, the distant cry of a night animal. You listen for the sound of loose scree that might signal a treacherous patch of ground. You carry no torch. A flame would be a beacon, making you a clear target for any potential threat. More importantly, a torch ruins your night vision, creating a small, dancing bubble of light that makes the surrounding darkness even more impenetrable. You must trust the faint light of the moon and stars, and you must trust your memory of the road. This is why His training was so exhaustive. He made you memorize every dip, every rise, every curve of your designated routes. You are running not just on a physical path, but on a mental map you have built in your mind. The Andean night is not silent. It's filled with a chorus of strange, unsettling sounds. The hoot of an owl, the rustle of a small animal in the aichu grass, the eerie cry of a neighbor. Every sound is amplified in the darkness, and your imagination, already primed by the dangerous secret you carry, turns them into potential threats. Was that the wind or the low growl of a puma, the great nocturnal hunter of the mountains? Pumas or mountain lions were a real and present danger. They were revered and feared animals, symbols of power and strength. While they generally avoided humans, a lone runner at night would be a tempting target. This leads to a quirky and somewhat debated piece of Chaucer's folklore. Some sources suggest that night runners would deliberately make noise as they ran, not just with their footsteps, but by periodically clapping or letting out a sharp cry. This seems counterintuitive for someone trying to be stealthy, but the logic was that it wasn't about hiding from human threats, but about warning animal ones. It was a way of saying to the puma, "I am here. I am not prey, I am a human. Leave me alone." It was a proactive assertion of your presence to avoid a surprise encounter. Whether this was a formal technique or just a local custom is unclear. The psychological toll of the night run is immense. The loneliness is absolute. You are a single, warm-blooded creature moving through a vast, cold, and indifferent universe. The stars above are not the friendly, familiar patterns you knew from your village. They are a brilliant, overwhelming spray of diamonds, so bright and close in the thin, clear air that it feels like you could reach out and touch them. You see the dark patches in the Milky Way, which the Inca viewed not as empty space, but as constellations in their own right. The llama, the fox, the serpent. The cosmos is watching you. There's a persistent academic question about how the Chaucer's navigated on moonless or cloudy nights. How did they stay on the path in near total darkness? The answer likely lies in the brilliant design of the road itself. The low stone walls that lined the Qhapaqnan were not just for safety, they were a tactile guide. A runner could literally feel his way, trailing a hand along the wall or keeping his foot close to the edge. The drainage channels also provided a subtle auditory and physical cue. The road was engineered to be run even when it couldn't be seen. You settle into a trance-like state, your body moving on instinct and memory, your mind focused on the singular goal of reaching the next pool of light and safety, the next tempo. The secret quipu on your back seems to pulse with a dark energy in the night. The whispers of plot and treason feel more potent, more real in the shadows. You are a ghost, carrying a message from other ghosts running through a sleeping world. The only thing that matters is the next step, and the one after that, on the long, dark road to the dawn. The first hint of dawn is a pale, gray line on the eastern horizon, slowly pushing back the immense darkness. It gives you a final burst of energy. You've been running for what feels like an eternity. Your body a finely tuned machine operating on coca, memory, and sheer willpower. Ahead, you finally see it, a tiny flickering light. The hearth fire of the next temple. You are close. You raise the puchu to your lips, your cheeks and lungs aching from the effort, and blow. The sound is ragged but clear, a cry of arrival cutting through the pre-dawn stillness. A moment later, a reply comes, sharp and alert. Your replacement is ready. The thought of rest, of warmth, of safety is a powerful lure, but you can't slow down. The final 100 yards are as critical as the first. You see him, a silhouette against the growing light, already bouncing on the balls of his feet, steam pluming from his mouth in the cold air. He is a mirror of your own exhaustion and readiness. The exchange protocol is so deeply ingrained in you now that it happens almost without thought, a piece of muscle memory as natural as breathing. As you close the distance, you begin the verbal transfer. Your voice is a hoarse croak, each word a struggle. Secret message for the council from one you see, O Pampa. He jogs towards you, his eyes locked on yours, his face a mask of intense concentration. He is not just listening to the words. He is absorbing your urgency, your fatigue. the gravity of the last 12 miles. Dark omens a plot is suspected in the court trust no one. This verbal handover is a crucial, and often underappreciated, part of the system. While the quipu held the detailed, numerical data, the verbal message was the headline, the context, the emotional and strategic wrapper. It gave the next runner the why. Knowing the message is about a plot versus a late-grain shipment completely changes the mindset and the level of risk the next runner is willing to take. This duality, the tangible, data-rich quipu and the intangible, context-rich oral message, was the genius of their information system. The physical handover is a symphony of practiced motion. You don't stop. He doesn't stop. You are two moving points that intersect for a brief, critical moment. As you gasp out the final word, urgent, you are already pulling the precious quipu from your QIPI. Your hand, numb with cold, extends it. His hand is there to meet it. For a fraction of a second, both of you are holding the knotted strings, a brief, tangible connection in the long chain of information. Then he has it. He secures it in his own pack without looking, his movements economical and swift. He doesn't say thank you or I have it. He doesn't need to. He simply turns and accelerates, becoming a fleeting shadow disappearing down the path, just as the first rays of the sun crest the mountains. The entire transfer, from the first word of the verbal message to the moment he is running away from you, takes less than 10 seconds. It is the epitome of efficiency. There's an ongoing scholarly debate about the fidelity of this oral transmission. Over hundreds of miles and dozens of runners, how did they prevent the message from degrading, from becoming a game of telephone? Historians propose several solutions. The messages were likely kept to very shortened formulae. Repetition was key. The runner would repeat it to himself endlessly. And most importantly, the verbal message was always tied to the physical quipu. The quipu acted as a mnemonic device. The red strings might remind the runner that the message was about war or a specific person, preventing him from confusing it with a message about a harvest. Yellow strings. The quipu was the anchor for the memorized words. A little known but fascinating detail of the exchange is what happens if it goes wrong. What if the incoming runner collapses before he can deliver the message? Or if the quipu is dropped and falls into a ravine during the handover? There were contingency protocols. The waiting runner was trained to immediately backtrack along the path to the previous tambo to report the failure. This would trigger an alert, and a new runner would be dispatched, possibly with a shadow copy if the message was important enough. The system had fail-safes. It was robust, designed to anticipate failure as much as to achieve success. You stumble the last few feet to the tambo and collapse through the doorway. The runner who just left was your responsibility for a fleeting moment, and now he is gone. The secret quipu is his burden now. A profound, bone-deep exhaustion settles over you, so heavy it feels like the mountain itself is sitting on your chest. You have done your part. You have run through the night, faced the darkness, and passed the secret on. You crawl to the sleeping platform, pull a rough wool blanket over yourself, and fall into a sleep so deep it's like falling off a cliff. The last thing you hear is the faint, distant call of another putu, another message, for another runner on another part of the endless road. The system goes on. You sleep for a day and a night, a deep, dreamless slumber that stitches your frayed nerves and weary muscles back together. When you finally emerge from the small tambo, blinking in the harsh mountain sunlight, the world feels sane again. The terror of the night running the weight of the conspiracy message have faded, replaced by the familiar, monotonous rhythm of waiting. For several days, the traffic on your leg of the QH is routine. You and your new partner, a young, energetic runner named Wei Ra, fall into the easy rhythm of the relay. You take turns running, carrying mundane but essential information. Equip you detailing the wool production of a nearby province. A verbal message requesting a stonemason to repair a section of the road. A report on the health of a llama herd. This is the bread and butter of the Jaws Key service, the endless, vital logistical data that kept the complex machinery of the empire turning. It's a stark contrast to the high-stakes drama of your last run. Then, one afternoon, a different kind of message arrives. A runner comes panting up the path, but instead of a quipu, he carries a small, tightly sealed basket in his QIPI. He hands it to you with a grin. For the Sapa Inca stable, he says, from the coast. Run fast, or he will be eating soup instead of stew. You take the basket. It's cool to the touch and surprisingly light. Inside, carefully packed in damp seaweed, are several fresh fish. You stare at them in disbelief. You are standing at over 12,000 feet in a world of rock and daiju grass, hundreds of miles from the nearest ocean, and you are holding a product of the sea that is less than a day old. This is your first luxury run. You learn that the Chaw's key network was not just for data on state secrets. It was also the Sapa Inca's personal delivery service, a pre-modern FedEx for the whims of a divine king. The ability to have fresh seafood delivered to the landlocked capital of Cusco was the ultimate demonstration of the Empire's power and the network's incredible speed. It was a logistical boast, a way for the Sapa Inca to show his nobles that his reach was so absolute. It could defy geography and time itself. The cargo changes the nature of the run. There's still a sense of urgency. The clock is ticking on the freshness of the fish, but the life or death tension is gone. Instead, there's a different kind of pressure, the pressure not to stumble and turn the Emperor's dinner into a messy disaster. You place the basket carefully in your QIPI, making sure it's secure. As you run, you are acutely aware of the delicate cargo. Every jolt, every hard landing after a jump, makes you cringe, imagining the fine flesh of the fish being bruised. You run with a smoother, more fluid gait, absorbing the shock with your legs, trying to be a human gimbal mount. This practice of transporting perishable goods raises fascinating questions for historians and biologists. How exactly did they keep the fish fresh? The general theory is a combination of speed and simple, clever preservation techniques. The fish were likely gutted and cleaned immediately upon being caught. They were then packed in edible seaweed, which was naturally salty and helped to slow spoilage. Some accounts suggest they might have even used snow and ice collected from the high peaks to create primitive coolers for the journey, passing ice from one runner to the next along with the primary cargo. It was a cold chain, a refrigerated supply line made of pure human effort. This wasn't limited to just fish. The network was used to transport all sorts of exotic goods for the royal court. Small, sweet chili peppers from the eastern jungles, plump, juicy fruits from the warm valleys. Even, according to some of the more colorful Spanish chronicles, live sea birds, carried carefully in cages. Their squawks of protest passed from one runner to the next across the Andes. The veracity of this last claim is debated, as the logistics seem almost impossible, but it speaks to the legend of the Chaw's escape abilities. As you run with the Sapa Inca's dinner on your back, you see the road in a new light. You are not just a data conduit, you are a strand in a vast web of tribute and supply. The road doesn't just carry orders from the center to the periphery. It funnels the wealth and bounty of the entire empire back to the golden heart of Cusco. You are carrying the taste of the ocean up to the roof of the world. When you arrive at the next tambo, you hand over the basket of fish with the same speed and precision as you would equip you. The next runner takes it and is gone, continuing its journey to the capital. You have done your part. Somewhere, days from now, the most powerful man in your world will enjoy a meal made possible by your legs, and the legs of 100 other men just like you. This run, more than any other, makes you understand the dual nature of your role. You are at once a critical piece of state infrastructure and a servant, a tool for military intelligence and a delivery boy for a god king's dinner. Your value is in your speed, and that speed serves all the needs of the empire, from the deadly serious to the deliciously trivial. After the novelty of the fish run, life settles back into the familiar rhythm of wait and run. But the Andes are never truly predictable. The mountains are not a passive stage for your work. They are an active and often hostile participant. You are about to learn that the greatest threats on the road are not always spies or pumas, but the earth itself. You're halfway through a routine run, carrying a quipu that feels reassuringly mundane, something about llama immunizations. You think the verbal tag was. The sky is clear, the sun is warm, and you found a comfortable, efficient pace. The path here is cut into the side of a steep, gravelly slope, a testament to the road builder's tenacity. You are in a state of relaxed focus, your mind and body working in perfect harmony. You hear it before you see it. Hello. Deep rumble from high up the mountain. It's a sound that vibrates through the soles of your sandals, a bass note that doesn't belong in the symphony of the wind in your own breathing. You falter, looking up. High above you, a section of the mountainside is moving. A river of rock, earth, and scree is breaking loose, pouring down the slope with terrifying speed. The landslide. There is no time to think. Your body reacts on pure instinct, honed by months of training to respond to the unexpected. You have two choices: sprint forward to try and outrun the edge of the slide, or retreat back the way you came. You make a split-second calculation. The slide is widened fast. You can't outrun it. You spin on your heel and run, not forwards, but backwards away from the impending disaster. You scramble back 50 yards, your heart hammering in your throat. The landslide crushes across the Qhapaqnan with a deafening roar, the cascade of dust and flying rocks. It obliterates the section of road you were about to step on. Boulders the size of huts bounce and crash down into the valley below, leaving a trail of destruction. The air fills with a thick cloud of dust that smells of stone and violence. When the rumbling subsides, a vast, ugly scar of wrath is left where the immaculate stone road once ran. The path is gone, utterly and completely gone. You stand there panting, your body trembling with adrenaline. You are alive, but the road, your connection to the rest of the network, is severed. The message in your QIPI is now stranded. This was a constant problem for the Inca. The Andes are one of the most geologically active regions in the world. Earthquakes, rock slides, and avalanches were a regular occurrence. The Qhapaqnan was in a perpetual state of being damaged and repaired. The Inca state's ability to maintain the road was as impressive as its initial construction. There were dedicated teams of road maintenance workers, minor laborers from local villages, whose job was to patrol sections of the road, clear minor rockfalls, and report major damage. When a catastrophic event like this happened, the system had to respond instantly. Your training kicks in. The protocol for a severed road is clear. You cannot go forward. You must go back. You turn and run. Your mission no longer to deliver the message, but to report the break in the chain. At the tempo you just left, you will report the landslide. That just key will then take the message further back down the line, alerting the regional administrator. An emergency is declared. A team of engineers and a massive crew of laborers will be dispatched to the site. But what about the message you are carrying? This is where a fascinating and little understood aspect of the network comes into play. The unofficial detours. While the Qhapaqnan was the main artery, the landscape was crisscrossed with countless smaller, older lumber tracks and footpaths. A seasoned Charles Key was expected to know these alternative routes. They were slower, more dangerous, and not maintained, but they were a way to bypass a blockage. This knowledge is a point of academic contention. Was it formally taught, or was it a kind of institutional wisdom passed down from one runner to another? The official rule was to report the break, but an ambitious or highly dedicated Charles Key, carrying a message he knew to be urgent, might be tempted to find his own way around, to become an overt explorer. It was a risky gamble. A detour could save hours, or it could lead you into a dead-end valley, hopelessly lost. You, however, are still a relatively new runner. The message you carry is not life or death. You follow protocol. You run back. The frustration is immense. You have failed to deliver your message, but you have succeeded in your secondary duty, to be the eyes and ears of the road maintenance system. When you get back to the tambo, you gasp out the news. The road is gone. Puma's tooth pass is blocked. The other runner's eyes widen. He knows what this means. He immediately takes a new Quipue blank one and a new verbal message: landslide. Road impassable. He then turns and runs south, away from Cusco, to carry the news to the administrators. You, meanwhile, are stuck. You and the precious Quipue about Loma Health are now waiting. You will have to wait until the road is cleared, or until an order comes from the south, rerouting traffic through a different valley. You sit at the edge of the broken world, a stark reminder that, for all the Inca's power and ingenuity, the mountains always had the final say. The road was a constant battle, a fragile line of order drawn across a landscape of magnificent chaos. Days pass in frustrating stillness. The broken road is a gaping wound in the network, and your tambo has become a dead end. Runners arrive from the south, their messages piling up, unable to proceed north. The small stone hut is crowded in tents. Finally, an official arrives, not on foot, but carried in a litter by 4 strong men. He brings new orders. The main highland road is too badly damaged. It will take weeks to repair. All northbound traffic is to be rerouted. His finger traces a line on a crude map drawn on a piece of cloth. You are being reassigned. Your new route will take you down, descending from the high Andes to the great coastal highway, the other main artery of the Qhapaqnan. You will run a leg through the desert. The journey down is an adventure in itself. You follow a steep, winding lateral road, a connector you've never been on before. With every step, the world changes. The thin, cold air of the highlands gives way to a thicker, warmer, and more humid atmosphere. The sparse, tough ichu grass is replaced by thorny scrub, then by more lush vegetation in the sheltered valleys. The world becomes greener, louder, filled with the buzz of insects and the chatter of unfamiliar birds. It's a sensory shock after the austere silence of the peaks. After 2 days of descent, you reach it, the coastal road, and it is a completely different beast. Here there are no epic stone staircases or terrifying grass bridges. The road is a wide, straight line disappearing into a hazy, shimmering horizon. It's not paved with stone, but marked by low adobe walls on either side, a channel carved through an endless landscape of sand and rock. Your new workplace is the desert, and it is just as brutal as the mountains, but in a different way. The enemy here is not the cold or the altitude, but the sun. It's a relentless, oppressive force beating down from a cloudless sky, reflecting off the pales, and until the whole world is a blinding glare. Your first run on the coastal route is a lesson in a new kind of suffering. The heat is like a physical weight pressing down on you. Sweat pours from your body, soaking your tunic and stinging your eyes. The air you breathe is hot and dry, searing your lungs. Within a mile, you feel a desperate, raging thirst you've never known in the cool highlands. The Chasquis who ran these routes were a different breed. While the mountain runners were defined by their lung capacity, the desert runners were masters of hydration and heat resistance. They had their own unique set of skills and adaptations. They would often run in the very early morning or late afternoon, avoiding the crushing heat of midday if the message urgency allowed. They carried larger water gourds and knew the location of every hidden spring or well. One of the most fascinating unniche adaptations of the desert runners was their footwear. While your mountainous hutters were designed for grip on stone, their sandals had thicker, layered soles of llama hide. This was to insulate their feet from the scorching hot sand, which could easily cause severe burns. Some historians speculate they might have even lined their sandals with woven ichu grass, creating an airy, insulating cushion. It was a simple but brilliant piece of thermal protection technology. Your body, acclimated to the highlands, struggles to cope. You feel clumsy, heavy? The coca leaves help with the fatigue, but they do little to combat the dehydration. You learn to sip water from your gourd sparingly, making it last. The landscape is monotonous, a hypnotic, shimmering expanse of brown and ochre, but it is not empty. You see strange, spidey plants, ancient geoglyphs etched into the distant hillsides, and the bleached bones of animals half buried in the sand. The coastal tamboes are different too. They are often larger, built of adobe brick instead of stone, and sometimes shaded by a few scraggly, hardy trees. The debate among scholars about Jaw's key specialization is particularly relevant here. It seems highly unlikely that a runner would be expected to perform optimally in both the high-altitude cold and the sea-level heat. The physiological demands are polar opposites. This has led most experts to believe that the Chaw's Kikor was divided into at least two specialized divisions, the Serrano S mountain runners and the Costinas coastal runners. Your current, miserable experience is a testament to why this specialization was necessary. You are a high-altitude machine being forced to run at the wrong RPM. You finish your first desert leg stumbling and dizzy, your head pounding from the heat. You collapse in the shade of the tambo, utterly spent, and pour the last of your water over your head. You have a newfound, profound respect for the runners who called this brutal, beautiful wasteland their home. You have carried messages across the roof of the world and through the furnace of the desert. You are learning, mile by painful mile, just how vast and varied the empire truly is, and what it takes to bind its disparate parts together. You are no longer just a mountain runner. You are a Chazki of the Tawantin Suyu, and the entire 25,000-mile network is your domain. After a week of grueling runs in the oppressive heat of the coastal desert, word finally arrives. The mountain pass has been cleared. A team of engineers and laborers working with incredible speed has rebuilt the destroyed section of the Qhapaknan. You are being reassigned back to the highlands, back to the world of thin air and solid stone that you understand. The relief is palpable. The journey back up into the mountains feels like a homecoming. As you ascend, the air cools, and your lungs, which have struggled in the thick, hot air of the coast, begin to work efficiently again. You feel your strength returning. You are a mountain creature, and this is your element. Back at your familiar Tambo, you are greeted by Rumi, your old mentor. He has been inspecting this section of the road. His presence is always intimidating, but this time, there is something different in his gaze. He looks you up and down, taking in your leaner frame, your sun-darkened skin, your more confident posture. You have been tested by the mountains and the desert, by conspiracy and by landslides, and you have not broken. You have run well, he says. It's the highest praise you have ever received from him, and it lands with the weight of a royal decree. He tells you that your period of training and probation is over. You are now being promoted to the rank of a full Chazki. This promotion comes with tangible rewards and a significant rise in status. Your simple, plain tunic is replaced with one of finer wool, with a subtle, geometric pattern to cap you woven into the hem. This pattern signifies your rank and your role. It's a mark of distinction, a sign to all who see you, that you are a trusted servant of the Sepa Inca. You are also given a new Chu spa bag, more intricately woven, and your allotment of coca leaves is increased. This isn't just a practical matter, it's a symbol of the state's investment in you. You are a valuable asset, and the Empire is ensuring you have the best fuel to perform your duties. The greatest reward, however, is a portion of land. Rumi explains that the Sepa Inca has granted you a small plot of fertile land back in your home valley. It will be worked by your family in your absence. This is a life-changing gift. In the highly structured Inca society, all land was technically owned by the Sepa Inca. To be granted a plot for your family's use was a sign of immense favor. It ensures your family has prosperity and elevates their standing within the community. Your service and sacrifice on the road directly translate to security and honor for the people you left behind. This system of reward is a key reason the Chazki network was so reliable. The runners were not slaves or conscripts, they were highly motivated professionals. They had a direct personal stake in the success and stability of the empire. Your family as well-being was tied to your performance. This created a powerful bond of loyalty that went beyond mere duty. There is, however, an ongoing historical debate about the social mobility of a Chazki. Was this as far as you could go? Or could a truly exceptional runner, one known for incredible speed, bravery, or loyalty, rise even higher? Some accounts suggest that a veteran Chazki could be promoted to a position like a Tambo administrator, a road inspector, or even a trainer like Rumi. A few might have even been granted a place in the lower nobility, their family's status permanently elevated. The evidence is scant, but it's a tantalizing possibility that the King's Road could be a pathway not just for messages, but for social advancement. A quirky, little-known privilege that came with your new status was a form of diplomatic immunity. As a full Chazki on an official run, you were essentially untouchable. A local governor or a traveling noble could not stop you, question you, or commandeer you for their own errands. You answered only to the imperial authorities in charge of the network. This protected the integrity of the system from being bogged down by local politics and petty power plays. Rumi leaves you with a final piece of advice. The rewards are great, he says, his voice low and serious, but they are earned every day. The road ahead is still long. Do not let the new tunic make you slow or the land make you soft. That evening, as you stand outside the Tambo looking up at the familiar, star-dusted sky, you feel a profound sense of pride. You touch the new, finer wool of your tunic. You think of your family working land that is now theirs because of your sacrifice. You are no longer the scared, awestruck boy who left a small potato farm. You are a vital part of the empire. You have seen its breadth, from the highest peaks to the driest deserts. You have carried its secrets, its laws, and its luxuries. The price of this life is high, a constant dance with exhaustion, danger, and loneliness. But tonight, for the first time, you feel that the rewards might just be worth it. With your new rank and the security of your family as future settled, a subtle shift occurs in your perspective. The daily runs, once a source of anxiety and physical pain, now feel different. They are still demanding, but they are imbued with a deeper sense of purpose. You are not just running from one point to another anymore. You are beginning to see the bigger picture. You are starting to understand how your small, repetitive actions are part of a grand imperial design. One day, you are given a quipu that is unusually complex. It's a census report from a newly conquered province in the south. The verbal tag from the previous runner is simple, for the archives in Cusco. As you run, the physical weight of the quipu with its hundreds of knotted strings representing people, livestock, and grain stores feels significant. You are carrying an entire society, abstracted into data, on your back. This run makes you contemplate the sheer scale of the operation. You are just one runner on one leg of the road. At this very moment, hundreds of other Char's quiz are in motion, forming a constant, pulsating web of information across thousands of miles. To the north, a runner is carrying a message about a border skirmish. To the east, another is rushing medicine from a jungle shaman to an ailing noble. To the west, a quipu full of tribute accounts from a coastal valley is making its way to the capital. You are all moving simultaneously, a perfectly synchronized, continent-spanning organism. You begin to recognize the patterns in the flow of information. Messages of command and law flow outwards from the heart of the empire in Cusco. Messages of tribute, intelligence, and census data flow inwards from the peripheres. It's a circulatory system. The QH is the arteries and veins, the Tamboes are the capillaries, and you, the Char's quiz, are the blood cells, carrying oxygen and nutrients to every part of the body and carrying metabolic waste back to the center for processing. The Inca state was a masterpiece of bureaucracy and central control, and this network was its nervous system. Without it, the empire simply could not have existed. A governor in a distant province couldn't wait 6 months for instructions from the Sepa Inca. An army couldn't be mobilized to counter a rebellion if the news took a year to arrive. The Char's key system compressed time and space, allowing the Sepa Inca's will to be felt in the farthest corners of his realm almost instantaneously. This understanding helps you grasp a key and often debated concept in Inca studies, the nature of their control. Was the Inca Empire a brutal, totalitarian regime, or a more benevolent, paternalistic state? The truth is seen through the lens of the Char's key system, is that it was, above all, an information state. Power was derived from knowing everything. The state knew how many people lived in each village, how many bushels of maize they harvested, how many llamas they owned. This census data, carried by you, was not just for record-keeping, it was the basis for taxation, for military conscription, and for the equitable, in their view, redistribution of resources. Your run was a fundamental act of governance. A fascinatedly niche part of this information web was the transmission of non-official news. While your primary duty was to carry state messages, you were also a conduit for gossip, songs, and stories. At the Tamboes, during the brief overlap with other runners, you would exchange news from other parts of the empire. A joke from the northern provinces, a new song popular in the capital, a rumor about a nobleman falling out of favor. This informal grapevine was a powerful, secondary function of the network. It fostered a sense of shared culture and identity across a vast and diverse territory. A farmer in the south might end up hearing a story that started with a Chawski in the north, subtly weaving the disparate peoples of the Andes into a single cultural tapestry. As you run with the census quipu, you pass a group of laborers repairing a section of the road. They stop their work and bow their heads slightly as you pass. They see your tunic, the two capu at the hem, the pututillo at your side. They don't see you, the boy from the potato farm. They see the Sepa Inca's authority in motion. They see a living piece of the power that organizes their lives, that commands them to build this very road. You realize that you are more than a runner. You are a symbol. Your presence on the road is a constant, visible reminder to everyone, from the peasant farmer to the local governor, that they are part of something immense, something centrally controlled from the golden city of Cusco. You are the embodiment of the state's reach. You arrive at the next tambo and hand over the senseless quipu. The next runner takes it without a word and continues its journey north. You watch him go, and for the first time you don't just see one man running. You see the entire, invisible web. You see the threads of power, data, and culture all being woven together. And you finally understand your place in the pattern. You are not just a thread, you are one of the weaver's shuttles, flying back and forth, tirelessly creating the fabric of the largest empire the Americas had ever known. The profound sense of purpose you found is a powerful motivator, but it's a heavy cloak to wear. The understanding of your role within the grand imperial machine comes with an equal understanding of the consequences of failure. The system is brilliant, but it is also unforgiving. The Sepa Inca's justice is swift and absolute, and you are about to witness a stark reminder of it. You arrive at a large, garrison tambo at the end of a long run, the dust of the road kicked to your skin, but the usual organized bustle of the place is gone. A strange, tense silence hangs in the air. Soldiers are gathered in the central plaza, their faces grim. In the center of the plaza, tied to a wooden post, is a man, HES wearing the tattered remains of a Chorski tunic. Your blood runs cold. You've heard stories, but you've never seen it. This is a public punishment, a deliberate spectacle. You slow to a walk, your exhaustion forgotten, your eyes fixed on the scene. The man is young, not much older than you. His head is bowed, his body slumped in defeat. A high-ranking military official stands before him reading from a quipu. Though you can't make out the words, you know this is not a normal quipu. It's a legal document, a sentence being read into the official record. You ask another runner who is watching from the shadows what happened. He lost the message. The runner whispers, his voice tight with fear. A military dispatch. He claims he was ambushed, that he fought, but they overpowered him. The quipu is gone. The official finishes reading the note. He steps back. The charge is failure, dereliction of duty. The excuse of an ambush is irrelevant. The message was lost. That is the only fact that matters. The punishment for such a crime is severe, designed to be a terrifying deterrent. The condemned man is to be shamed, then executed. His failure brings dishonor not just upon himself, but upon his entire family, who may be stripped of their land and status. This brutal, zero-tolerance policy was the dark side of the network's efficiency. The state demanded absolute reliability, and it enforced it with terror. The life of a single runner was insignificant compared to the integrity of the information flow. As you watch, horrified, you are reminded of one of the grimmest and most debated aspects of Chorski law. What was the protocol if you were the one who was ambushed? The official doctrine, as taught by Rumi, was to die defending the message. But there was a darker, more pragmatic alternative whispered among the runners. If capture was inevitable, and if the message was of paramount importance like the conspiracy quipu you carried, the Chorski was expected to take his own life rather than let the message or the verbal tag fall into enemy hands. He was also expected to destroy the quipu if possible, by chewing the strings or casting it into a river. This ultimate act of self-sacrifice was seen as the highest expression of loyalty. Whether this was an official command or an unspoken code of honor is a point of contention for historians, as it's the kind of grim detail that official histories tend to omit. You also witness a particularly cruel and niche form of punishment reserved for disgraced Chazquis. Before the final sentence is carried out, the official orders the guards to bring a heavy stone. They force the condemned runner to his knees and with a single sickening crunch, they break his ankles. This act is symbolic. It's not just about inflicting pain. It's about destroying the very essence of what he was. He is a runner. His feet and legs are his purpose, his identity. By breaking them, the state is erasing him, declaring him to be utterly useless, the ultimate dishonor. You can't watch anymore. You turn away, your stomach churning. This is the reality behind the prestige, the land grants, the fine tunics. This is the cost of failure. The system that rewards success so handsomely punishes failure with an equal and opposite ferocity. The spectacle serves its purpose. Every Chozkian soldier in the garrison has been reminded of their duty and the price of negligence. The fear is a tool, used as deliberately as a stonemason's hammer to shape the behavior of the Empire's servants. Later that day, you are given your next assignment. It's a simple quip you, a routine message. You take it, your hands trembling slightly. As you begin your run, you are no longer thinking about the glory or the bigger picture. You are thinking about the men tied to the post. You are thinking about the weight of the quip you in your QIPI, and how that weight is measured not just in woolen string but in blood. You run with a new, desperate focus. You scan the road ahead with a paranoid intensity. Every shadow is a potential ambush. Every loose rock is a potential fall. The fear is no longer an abstract concept, it has a face and a name. You are running not just for the Empire or for your family's honor, but for your own life. The King's Road has never felt so dangerous. The grim image of the punished Chozki haunts your every step for days. It has stripped away any romanticism about your job, replacing it with a cold, professional focus. You run with a renewed sense of caution, every mile a deliberate act of survival. Your journey continues, carrying the endless stream of Imperial data, and your route is taking you steadily south, ever closer to the mythical heart of the Empire. Finally, the day comes. The message you receive is different. It's a simple summons, equip you with only a few knots, but the verbal tag sends a jolt through you. Report to the Kori Kancha. Your message chain is complete. The Kori Kancha, the Temple of the Sun, the religious and spiritual center of the entire empire, located in the capital city of Cusco. You are going to the navel of the world. Your final leg is not a solo run. You join a small, official caravan of priests and minor nobles also heading to the capital. The mood is reverent, hushed. As you get closer, the Qhapaknan becomes more magnificent, a grand ceremonial avenue flanked by storehouses and temples. The traffic increases. You see llama caravans laden with goods, soldiers in polished helmets, and nobles in litters adorned with feathers and silver. This is the great convergence, the point to which all the roads of the four quarters led. And then you see it. Nestled in a high valley surrounded by green hills is Cusco. It's more stunning than any story could describe. It's a city of stone, the walls built with a precision that seems impossible, the massive blocks fitted together without a drop of mortar, so tight you can't slip a blade between them. The city is laid out in the shape of a puma, a sacred animal, its head the mighty fortress of Sacsayhuman on the hill above, its heart the central plaza. The roofs are thatched with gold, or so the legends say. From this distance, they certainly gleam under the Andean sun. You enter the city, and it's a dizzying, overwhelming experience. The streets are narrow, filled with people from every corner of the empire. You see the dark-skinned people from the coastal plains, the tall warriors from the northern territories, the jungle dwellers from the eastern slopes with their bright feathers and painted faces. You hear a dozen different languages and dialects, a symphony of the vast realm the Sepa Inca commands. It is a living map of the Tawantinsuyu. Your destination is the Kori Kancha. It is the most sacred place in the Inca world. You approach its walls and they are the finest stonework you have ever seen. But it's what's on top of the stones that takes your breath away. The upper parts of the walls are covered in thick sheets of pure gold, which blaze with a divine light in the sun. This is why it is called the Kori Kancha, the golden enclosure. As a Chozki, you are granted entry, a privilege denied to most commoners. You step into a courtyard, and the sheer opulence is staggering. There are gardens with life-sized statues of plants, animals, and even people, all crafted from solid gold and silver. A field of maize where every stalk, every leaf, every tassel is made of shimmering gold. This is the tribute of the empire, not stored as inert wealth, but displayed as a breathtaking offering to the sun god Inti, from whom the Sepa Inca claimed descent. The debate among historians about the Kori Kancha's true appearance is lively. The Spanish conquistadors who later looted it were so overwhelmed by the wealth that their accounts often border on the fantastical. How much of the description of golden gardens was literal truth versus awestruck exaggeration? While archaeology has confirmed the incredible wealth and the presence of gold plating on the walls, the full extent of these silver and gold sculptures is impossible to verify. They were all melted down by the Spanish, a catastrophic loss of irreplaceable art and cultural heritage. You are led to a chamber where a high priest, a villacumu, and a group of quipucamaocs, the master record keepers, are waiting. These are the men who read and interpret the thousands of quipas that flow into the capital. They are the human hard drives of the empire. You hand over your final quipu. A quipucamaoc takes it. His fingers fly across the strings, his eyes half closed. He is not just counting knots. He is reading a complex, multi-layered document. He reads the colors, the twists of the fiber, the placement of the strings. He announces his findings to a scribe who makes notes on another, larger master quipu, incorporating your data into the Grand Imperial Archive. You have followed a single message chain to its final destination. A piece of information, a census number, a tribute record that started as a knot tied by a minor official hundreds of miles away, has now been successfully absorbed into the central brain of the Empire. You have witnessed the final step in the process. This is a niche but crucial detail of the system. The Jaws Quiz were the delivery men, but the quipucamaocs were the decoders. He just didn't need to be fully literate in the Quipu language. He just needed to be fast and reliable. The quipucamaocs, on the other hand, were an elite, highly trained class of intellectual bureaucrats, often from noble families who spent their entire lives mastering the intricate system of knots and colors. The division of labor was absolute. Standing in the heart of the Kori Kincha, you finally see it all. The runner on the lonely mountain pass, the weaver of the grass bridge, the fisherman on the coast, the priest in the temple, and the record keeper with his strings all are part of the same vast, interconnected system. And it is all held together by faith, by duty, and by the tireless running of men like you. The Golden City is not built on stone, you realize. It's built on information. Your time in Cusco is a heady, disorienting blur. For a week, you are housed in a barracks with other off-duty Chosquis, a stone's throw from the Great Plaza. You are a country boy in the heart of a metropolis, and every sight and sound is a revelation. But even in this magnificent city, strange rumors are beginning to slither through the streets, whispers carried on the same wind that once guided you. The rumors speak of something new, something alien. They speak of men with skin as pale as the moon, with hair on their faces like dry grass, riding on giant, hornless llamas that are faster and stronger than any beast known to the Andes. One day the summons comes again. You are called before a council of military leaders. The atmosphere is tense. They show you a new kind of quipu, one with frantic, complex knots you've never seen before. The verbal message is chilling. They are moving south from Cajamarca. They have captured the Sepa Inca Atahualpa. They ride beasts of war and carry thunder sticks that spit fire. The news is incomprehensible, a violation of the natural order of the world. The Sepa Inca, the son of the sun, the living god, captured. It's impossible. But the quipu does not lie. The network does not lie. You are given a new mission, the most critical of your life. You are to join a chain of runners carrying messages between the captive Sepa Inca's generals, who are trying to coordinate a response and, most importantly, to organize the collection of a massive ransom, a room filled with gold and 2 rooms filled with silver. As you head north again, the QH Nang feels different. The familiar rhythm of imperial business has been replaced by a frantic, desperate urgency. The messages you carry are no longer about harvests and censuses. They are about troop movements, gold shipments, and increasingly panicked reports about the invaders. And then you see them. You are on a high ridge, looking down into a valley, when you see a small procession moving along the road below. It's a group of the pale-skinned men, the Spanish as they are called, and they are on their giant llamas, horses. Your first sight of a horse is a moment of profound shock. It's larger, more powerful, and faster on flat ground than you could have possibly imagined. A man on its back seems transformed, elevated, a new and more formidable kind of creature. You Charski, whose speed is the stuff of legend, watch this animal canter along a flat section of the road and realize that on this terrain, you would be no match for it. But then, the road begins to climb. It turns into one of the iconic Inca stone staircases, and you witness something extraordinary. The horse, so fluid and fast on the flat, becomes clumsy and hesitant. It struggles with the high, steep steps, its iron-shod hooves slipping on the smooth stone. Its rider has to dismount and lead the terrified, snorting animal up the stairs one painstaking step at a time. In that moment, you understand. You, in your simple sandals, begin to run. You stay on the high ground, moving parallel to them, and you easily outpace them. On the stairs, you are a god and they are clumsy children. You are a creature of the vertical world. They are masters of the horizontal. The QH Pac-Man was built for you for the running foot, not for the hoof. Its greatest strength, its direct, steep, stair-filled roots is the Spaniard's greatest weakness. This is a critical and often overlooked aspect of the Spanish conquest of Peru. While horses gave the conquistadors a massive advantage in open battle on flat terrain, the Inca road system itself was a formidable defensive asset. It slowed the Spanish advance, exhausted their cavalry, and gave the Inca forces who could move swiftly on foot a tactical advantage in the mountainous terrain. The network you have spent your life on has become a weapon. There is a historical debate about how the Incas perceived the Spanish and their horses. Did they initially think the man and horse were a single creature, a terrifying centaur like god of war? Some early dramatic Spanish accounts claim this was the case, as it emphasized their own godlike status. However, most modern historians are skeptical. It's more likely that the Incas, a practical and observant people, quickly figured out it was a man riding an animal, but were no less intimidated by the power, speed, and tactical implications of this new form of warfare. As you run, carrying messages for the Inca resistance, you become a key part of this asymmetrical warfare. You can move faster than Spanish cavalry through the rugged highlands. You can carry intelligence and coordinate troop movements in ways their mounted messengers cannot. The network of Tamboes becomes a strategic asset, allowing Inca soldiers and agents to be provisioned and to communicate over vast distances. Danish detail of this period is how the quip was changed. The quip you see, AMAOCS had to invent new knots or new color combinations to represent the strange new concepts of the invasion horse, gun, cannon, steel sword. The Quip-U system, a flexible and living language, was adapting in real time to describe the cataclysm that was engulfing it. You are no longer just a courier for a stable, all-powerful empire. You are an agent of a kingdom in crisis, a guerrilla communicator. Your speed is not just for efficiency anymore, it's for survival. You run through valleys where skirmishes have taken place, the smell of gunpowder, a strange and acrid scent, hanging in the air. You see the devastation wrought by steel on warriors armed only with bronze and stone. The world is being torn apart and you are running along the seams, a frantic stitch trying to hold it all together. The ransom is paid, high room full of gold, twice over with silver, an unimaginable treasure, gathered from every corner of the empire, its journey facilitated by your frantic running and the messages you carried. But it is not enough. The Spanish, in an act of supreme treachery, execute the Sapa Inca Atahualpa anyway. The news ripples through the Chaw's key network like a death cry. The son of the sun has been murdered. The divine center of the universe has been extinguished. The shock is absolute, a spiritual and political earthquake that shatters the foundations of your world. The empire, already reeling, is now headless. Chaos erupts. With the Sapa Inca gone, the fragile unity he embodied dissolves. Warlords and regional governors, once held in check by the central authority of Cusco, begin to pursue their own agendas. The unified resistance crumbles into a fractured, multi-sided civil war with different Inca factions fighting each other as well as the Spanish. The Chaw's key system, once the proud nervous system of a unified body, is now twisted and broken. It becomes a tool in the hands of warring factions. A message you carry for one general might be an act of treason to another. The road is no longer a neutral space governed by imperial law. It is a battleground. You are not just a courier, you are a spy, a partisan, a target. Your final mission is a desperate one. You are given equipped you by a general loyal to Manco Inca, a brother of Atahualpa who has been crowned as a puppet emperor but is now planning a massive rebellion. The message is a call to arms, a secret instruction for a coordinated, empire-wide uprising. intended to drive the Spanish into the sea once and for all. This is to be the final, great sprint of the imperial network. You run with the knowledge that this could be the most important message of your life, and also your last. The roads are swarming with Spanish patrols as well as spies for rival Inca factions. Trust is a forgotten luxury. Every tambo is a potential trap. Every fellow runner could be an enemy. You are forced to abandon the main roads, the great paved arteries of the Qhapaqna. They are too exposed, too easily watched by Spanish cavalry. Your survival now depends on the knowledge you once thought of as secondary, the network of small, secret footpaths, the goat tracks, the ancient trails that crisscross the mountains, known only to locals and the most experienced Chasquis. This is the last, desperate evolution of the Charles Key. You are no longer a highway runner. You are an off-road, cross-country agent of a rebellion. You move by night, sleeping in caves or hidden rock shelters during the day. Your diet is no longer the state's applied quinoa and chuno, but whatever you can forage wild tuberous berries, the occasional bird you manage to trap. Your finely tuned athletic body is becoming the lean, weary frame of a guerrilla fighter. The historical record of this period is, understandably, chaotic. It's a point of major academic debate how long the formal Chasqui system survived after the fall of Cusco. Some scholars argue it collapsed almost immediately, with the infrastructure of the Tambo as breaking down. Others contend that it continued to function in a fractured, rebel capacity for decades, serving the Neo-Inca state that held out in the remote Vilcabamba region. Your experience suggests the latter is true. The network was destroyed. It went underground. One of the most poignant and niche details of this era is the fate of the Quipas. The Spanish, seeing them as tools of rebellion and paganism, began to systematically destroy them. Priests declared them to be the work of the devil and burned them in great piles. This act was not just the destruction of records, it was an act of cultural annihilation, an attempt to erase the memory of the Inca world. The Quipos you now carry are not just secret messages, they are endangered artifacts, the last remnants of a dying language. You are running through a ghost empire. You pass abandoned tamboes, their roofs collapsed. You see once thriving villages now empty, their people fled or killed. The great stone roads are falling into disrepair, grass growing between the pavers. You are carrying the last words of a dying civilization. Your final run takes you high into the Vilcabamba Range, a rugged, inaccessible region that will become the last bastion of Inca resistance. You scramble up a steep, hidden path, the call to arms clutched in your hand. You can see the smoke of Spanish campfires in the valley below, a constant reminder of how close they are. You arrive at Manco Inca's hidden stronghold, a city built in secret, and deliver the Quipu. You have done it. You have completed the final sprint. You have carried the spark of rebellion to the last Inca fortress. You have used the skills the Empire taught you to try and save it from extinction. But as you look out from the high sanctuary, you see the world you knew is gone forever. The golden age of the runner is over. The years in Vilcabamba are a blur of desperate hope and dwindling resources. You are no longer part of a grand, continent-spanning network. You are a runner for a fortress kingdom, a ghost flitting through a landscape that is no longer yours. The messages you carry are not about grand strategy anymore, but about survival. A warning of a Spanish patrol, a plea for salt from a hidden community, a report on a crop failure. The mighty river of information has shrunk to a desperate trickle. You run on forgotten paths. The great Qhapaqna, now a dangerous territory, a highway for your enemies. You see Spanish priests establishing missions in villages that once worshipped their pews. You see a new generation of children being born who have never known a Cepa Inca. The world is changing, and you are a relic, a holdover from a previous age. Your skills becoming more legendary and less practical with each passing year. The end comes not with a bang, but with a final heartbreaking message. The Spanish, after decades of searching, finally discover the location of the last Inca refuge. They storm Vilcabamba. The final Cepa Inca, Tupac Amaru, is captured and taken to Cusco. A runner, one of the last, brings the news to a small, hidden outpost where you are stationed. He delivers the verbal message, his voice breaking. It is over. The last king is taken. Cusco will weep. He hands you a quipue. It has only one final, black string on it. An ending. A full stop. The network is now truly dead. There is no one to send messages to, and no one to receive them from. The purpose that is to find your entire adult life evaporates overnight. You are a Chazki with no race to run. You and a handful of other surviving runners scattered to the winds. What becomes of you all? This is a question that historians still debate. There is no official record of the last Jaws quiz. Did they melt back into remote villages, trying to live as simple farmers, their incredible past a secret they carried to their graves? Were they hunted down by the Spanish as dangerous symbols of the old regime? Or did they become wandering storytellers, the last keepers of the oral traditions of the road? Perhaps all of these are true. You choose the first path, survival. You make your way back, over many months, towards your home valley. You are a middle-aged man now. Your body a roadmap of scars and hard miles, but your spirit is weary. You find your village, and it is both the same and utterly different. A small church with a wooden cross now stands where the central meeting place used to be. Your family is still there, working the land the Sepa Inca gave you, so long ago a grant the Spanish now barely recognize. You put away your puchuti. You burn your tattered tunic. You bury the secret of who you were deep inside you. In the years that follow, you watch the final erasure of your world. You hear of the campaign the Spanish call the extirpation of idolaters. Priests travel the land, burning the remaining quipas, smashing sacred stones, and forcing the people to renounce their ancient beliefs. They are trying to sever the memory of the empire, to cut the threads of history just as they cut the great grass bridges. A nascent tragic detail of this cultural war is that many of the QPUCMA-OCS who refused to convert or cooperate were persecuted. Their secret knowledge of the deeper, narrative layers of the Quipu, the stories, the histories, the philosophies dying with them. Sometimes you walk the old road. The QHAPACNAN is still there, a testament of stone, but it's quiet. The stones are being swallowed by grass. Sections have been torn up by Spanish settlers to build their new haciendas. The tamboas are crumbling ruins, empty shells. The only sounds are the wind and the cry of a hawk. You stand on a high pass, the same one where you once raced a condor, and you close your eyes. The silence is so profound. But if you listen hard enough, you can almost hear them, the echoes, the phantom sound of a puchuti you call drifting up from the valley, the ghostly whisper of sandals on stone, the breathless gasp of a message being passed in the dark. The road remembers, the mountains remember. You are perhaps the last one who can still hear the voices in the wind, the final, fading echo of the runners who once held an empire together with nothing but the strength of their legs and the fire of their loyalty. The sun sets on your memory, and the stone path grows cool beneath your feet. You are walking still, but the urgency is gone. The quipu you carried has unraveled. It's not loosening into simple threads that drift away like dandelion seeds on the evening breeze. There is no destination now, no one waiting at the next station. There is only the road, a silver ribbon unfolding under a canopy of stars so vast it stills your heart. The wind whispers, but it no longer speaks of rebellion or kings. It carries the scent of damp earth and night blooming flowers. The air is soft, and with each step, the world becomes quieter, gentler. Let the story fade like the traveler who told it to you so long ago, disappearing with the morning mist. Let the great mountains soften into deep blue shadows, their sharp peaks blurring into the soft edges of a dream. There is no need to run anymore. Just the soft rhythm of one footfall after another, a steady, peaceful cadence on a path that leads to rest. The echoes are quiet now, a lullaby for the mountains, and you can finally sleep.